The second night of the 2025 World Baseball Classic Qualifier in Taiwan, and already we have seen some surprises as just one unbeaten team remains after 3 games. And tonight, 2 squads in search of their first wins match up under the dome as the host squad, Chinese Taipei, is the visiting team taking on South Africa. Hi everybody, welcome inside the Taipei Dome alongside the former Major Leaguer and 2-time Team Australia WBC pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon. Ryan, 2 teams that lost yesterday in very different ways. South Africa 2-1 losers to Nicaragua in a walk-off final in 10 innings. Chinese Taipei gave up 12 runs on 15 hits to Spain. Not the performance that we were anticipating on night number 1 for the home team.
Yeah, and I believe the word that was used collectively around people around the team was disaster. Last time they've coming off the Premier 12 where they had all that success, beating Japan, coming in with a young, flipped roster, and we keep second guessing. Hey, look, is this the right decision? A lot of inexperience. They used 9 different pitches, had 0 answers for Team Spain, and that is going to cause all kinds of issues if their starters tonight. Shah, young pitcher making his debut, cannot get deep into this game because you look at this as the usage. You look at some of these pitches, if you have to empty the tank again, all of a sudden you're going to be in all sorts of trouble facing Nicaragua tomorrow.
Only one of those pitchers unavailable tonight, but if you use any of them today, they're unavailable tomorrow with that back-to-back day usage restrictions for pitchers. South Africa on the other side had a chance to take down Nicaragua. They fell in a walk-off loss, but Neil Adonis and his team feel very good coming into this one. Big one tonight for a couple of teams in search of their first win. Lineups and first pitch next from Taipei. Getting ready to roll tonight from here inside the Taipei Dome. A Chinese Taipei offense that at times yesterday was able to string together some hits. Certainly not enough in that 12-5 loss, but Ryan in need of a big-time turnaround tonight.
Yeah, they really are. And you mentioned the fact that they were starting to string some hits together. Hugh Chang with that big home run. That you felt like it was going to be another magical moment for him, another big game. But I'm telling you right now, the pitching was the issue. So this offense right now, obviously a lot different matchup facing South Africa, but man, they're going to get something going here in front of his 40,000 fans here in the Taipei Dome.
6 lefties in the lineup today for Hao Ju-Tung and his team, and you see that middle third of the order, the heart of the lineup, I should say, with Chishan Chen and Yu Chang and Yenting Wu. Those guys have to be your engines because they are the veteran guys. You've got Su Wei Lin in front of them, another former major leaguer. You have to be able to get production from those veteran guys in order to take some of the pressure off of the young guys around them.
Yeah, and look, we've talked about this a lot. We've covered it plenty, where they've flipped the entire roster. One player from the Premier 12 in November where they upset Japan, returned. And they have a completely different roster, a lot of young prospects, which creates different problems because the organizations in the United States put restrictions on them. But you're right, the leadership of this team, Yu Chang, the captain, in Chen, they have to set that presence, and I guarantee you, we talked about after last night, have some sort of team meeting, put your best motivational speech hat on, and fire these guys up. And this team right here, South Africa, they're just looking for some kind of nothing to lose magic to try and upset Chinese Taipei in this building.
Speaking of fired up, their manager, Neil Adonis, was certainly that today when I talked to him. He said he basically spent all night last night second guessing and kind of beating himself up for not being able to get his team into the lead with the extra runner on base in the 10th inning, but tried to shake that off by coming out to the night game last night between Chinese Taipei and Spain and shake off that loss by getting himself around this energy. And not only did Neil Adonis come out, his entire team came out as well, and they wanted to be able to experience this environment as we thought maybe they were going to be coming in here as a 1-0 team. They pulled off the hidden ball trick yesterday in wild fashion in that eventual loss to Nicaragua. Just didn't have enough magic, especially on the defensive side, or on the offensive side rather, to get that thing across the line.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, this hidden ball trick right here, they took another look and said, yep, it works. I mean, I believe it's the first time ever in the World Baseball Classic went viral all over social media. That man right there, Anthony Phillips, former Mariners farmhand, making his return to wearing the South African jersey. But yeah, it's a tough one because we've talked about the glass half empty from South Africa having some really haunting moments throughout their WBC career where they just haven't been able to get across the line. They were so close last night beating Nicaragua. And that man, Damien King, he's got his hands full because you know Chinese Taipei are going to be absolutely chopping at the bit. The defense behind him, just a couple changes. Pulls by Dale, we'll explain a little bit later. Unfortunately, is not in the lineup. Hopefully, we still get a chance to talk about the pool company and some of the other day jobs that a lot of these guys have. But pretty much a very similar defense playing behind Damien King tonight for South Africa.
One of the things that Neil Adonis said earlier today when I was talking with him is, you know, we have to play perfect, obviously, to have a chance against Chinese Taipei, but we played perfect yesterday. They didn't walk a batter until needing to issue an intentional walk in the 10th inning. They did not commit an error. They played a fantastic game, and tonight they will turn to the tall right-hander from Johannesburg, Damien King, whose first pitch comes in below the zone at 7:08 in the evening, and we are underway with the leadoff man, Xiaowei Lin, into the batter's box. Damien King is not going to give this lineup a whole lot of fastballs. He's going to try to work around the borders of the zone. He is very much an off-speed and pitch mix type of guy, but this is certainly a far different environment than he has ever worked in. And he wins the count to 3-0.
Yeah, and one thing too, you mentioned talking to Neil Adonis. If you have that approach, I've been there before where it's straight away a 4-straight ball because you're trying to do something you've never done before. You cannot have that approach, man. I mean, this team, you got nothing to lose. Come in, enjoy the moment. This may be the only time for some of these guys, or the last time for a lot of them, you play in this kind of environment in front of 40,000 people. And so you're going to enjoy it and just go about your business. Do your thing, see what happens.
So leadoff man aboard on 4 pitches, and that brings in Xiaowei Lin. That's the 5th straight out of the zone from Damien King, and you can see Anthony Phillips, the veteran, who was coming in to guard against the bunt, but he went over for a little word with King as off from first and swiping second easily, Xiaowei Lin, and now thought about trying to take the extra bag. He will hold at second base, but a stolen base, and Chinese Taipei in business right out of the gates.
Yeah, look at that lead. Easy lead. Damien King's not even paying attention over at first base whatsoever. And look, for South Africa, we got a chance to see Dylan Unsworth, who was brilliant yesterday. He's pitched at a high level, but that's the one thing when you're watching these teams like South Africa. The biggest issue, it's not just about how much talent they've got. You know what? They can string together a couple hits. What depth do they have? And that is exposed already here in the second hitter of this game when you're watching Damien King go to work.
Xiaowei Lin, a veteran of 102 Major League games in his career, takes the 2-1 pitch high, and it's 3 balls and a strike. And Ryan, you hit the nail on the head. The depth question is always the biggest question when it comes to South Africa. And the other thing that comes to mind, if you are Neil Adonis, is when a guy is battling command like this, at what point do you start thinking about, I mean, this is essentially a must-win game. If you want to have a shot to play on Tuesday. There are some different permutations in which, in theory, you could end up in a tie with some teams at 1 and 2, and that's if you're able to get the win tomorrow. Right. But right out of the gate, when do you start thinking about getting somebody else at least working if you're not able to get Damon King settled into a rhythm?
Well, I mean, right away, look, this is not something where, yeah, you know it's going to be a struggle, right? It's the noise, too. It's the environment you're in. I mean, he looks like a deer in headlights right now, Damon King. And look, I'm sure he's pitching some tough spots. I get it. But already right out of the gates, situation, it's like, you know what? Let's just empty the tank and see who can come in and fill up the strike zone for me and get through these innings.
You know, one of the things that I remember you describing was pitching for the first time in the Tokyo Dome, and when you felt like you were struggling, it was so compounded because you could not think, you couldn't collect your thoughts because of how loud the crowd was, and now you're staring down the MVP of Premier 12, a former major leaguer behind him, another veteran bat behind that, and yeah, if you're David King, you got to be able to try to settle yourself down, and the crowd doesn't let you do that.
No. And look, and yeah, you mentioned, pitching, a place like the Tokyo Dome in this play. The difference is, if you're paying attention, if you can hear the crowd noise, you've got chants, you've got drums, music. So Travis, our mate down there on the dugout, the guy just rocking the microphone. They're talking through pitches, right? Yeah. It's different in the United States. Yeah, the crowd, I'm pitching the big leagues where it gets really, really loud. It's different though.
2-0 in the air to center field. Racing in, Jason Carlsa is there to put it away. And the first out recorded is Shishin Chen flies out to center.
Yeah, the word I use, it's relentless. The noise is just absolutely relentless.
So that brings up the spark plug out of the cleanup spot. Mr. WBC for Chinese Taipei, Yu Chang, who last night got his team's offense seemingly on track. He cut a 4-0 deficit down to 4-2 in the bottom of the third inning, and we thought, all right, we're in for a game now. Didn't turn out that way as Spain rolled to a 12-5 victory over Chinese Taipei, but Yu Chang will try to get his team on the board here in the top half of the first inning as he goes to work against Damon King. Yu Chang made his major league debut on June 28th of 2019 with Cleveland. Spent 131 games in the big leagues with Cleveland, then moved on to the Pittsburgh Pirates, spent some time with the Tampa Bay Rays, the Boston Red Sox. Now he is back in Taiwan, playing for the Fubon Guardians in the CPBL as he takes that pitch down. A ball and 2 strikes on him. And you hear the reverberations of what he brings out in this crowd right now. 1-2, and he swings through it, and Damon King has bounced back from 2 straight walks to start this inning with a flyout and a strikeout of a former major leaguer and a guy who might as well be a former major leaguer, and with 2 outs, he has kept Zhao Lin and Zhou Lin at second and first.
You know, Tyler, yeah, sometimes, especially when you're overwhelmed, you get that first out. It doesn't have to be pretty. It could be a moonshot onto the warning track, but you get that first out, you can take a breath. I think the difference is here too, look, if you can get inside the strike zone early, just like that, you at least give yourself a chance, right? You're watching Damon King pitch and he's pumping 80 miles an hour with, not a huge break ball. However, you get yourself in decent counts, you're at least giving yourself a chance. If you're gonna nibble and get your 2-0 counts, you got 0 chance of getting out of the innings.
And a ground ball to second base. And after the 2 walks to start the inning, Damon King goes through that 3-4-5 deadly spot of the Chinese Taipei lineup in order. We go to the bottom of the first inning. Chinese Taipei scoreless in South Africa coming up. first inning in South Africa will send a lineup to the dish that yesterday found tough sledding against Nicaragua's pitching staff with just a run on 4 hits. But everybody so far has found tough sledding against Nicaragua's pitching staff. It'll be Victor Ngupe to lead things off, and Ngupe drove in the lone run of the game for his team yesterday. The veterans in the heart of the lineup, Phillips, Smith, and Phillips. And a leadoff strike in this at-bat charged to Victor Ngupe, who was not in the box on time. So we had a pitch timer violation to start the first inning of game number 1 today, in which Juan Diego Montes started his count at 0-1.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of that.
Yeah.
Last couple of games. And again, it could be a situation where guys just aren't quite used to getting in the box, being ready.
Victor able to hold up there, and the count goes even on him at 2-2 as these guys get their first look at the Oakland Athletics prospect, Sachin Shah.
Yeah, good fastball. You mentioned working his way up through the minor league system. Scuffled this year, though, that is for sure, with the Stockton Ports in A-ball. And you know what? The challenge for him as well, look, he's making his debut here in front of his home crowd. He knows they went through 9 pitches last night. They need him to get deep. This is going to be his one and done. He's going to pitch today, probably go 50 plus. He's going to be done after this. Get as deep as you can, young man, and save that bullpen, because you've got Nicaragua coming up tomorrow, which is a must-win for Chinese Taipei.
Full count on the leadoff man, Victor Ngupe. Victor out of Johannesburg, living back home there ever since his professional career ended in the United States. Spent 4 seasons in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. And man, what a nice guy. Just got a chance to meet him the other day after South Africa's pre-qualifier workout. And he is the type of guy you like having at the top of the order. 3-2, continuing to battle here. I mean, this is the perfect example. He'll see at least 8 pitches. Good bat to ball skills, good speed when he gets on base, plays a solid second base. Victor battling on a full count as the leadoff man here at the bottom of the first. And able to put that one in play. Hustling up the first base side. He's not going to beat Shaw to the bag, and the leadoff man is gone. But an 8-pitch at bat for Victor Ngupe to get things started.
Yeah, that's just it too. Again, we talked about this last night. You can roll through that bullpen. And saying the manager for Chinese Taipei, a situation where he won the Premier 12, upset Japan, didn't have the pitch restrictions. A lot different dealing with this stuff right now. And I get it. Look, you're playing South Africa. This is a lineup that you can handle. You start having some 6, 8 pitch at bats, man, you could find yourself in trouble for tomorrow.
First pitch there for a called strike to Tyler Smith. Smith out of the second spot in the order for this South Africa team. Yesterday, walked a couple of times, 0 for 3 otherwise, and still in search of his first hit.
Now, like we talked about for Chinese Taipei, only a couple changes behind the dish. Chang behind the dish is a change, and then Puswan Wang at first base. Pretty much the core of this team, similar to last night.
So with 2 gone and the base is empty, it'll bring up Jonathan Phillips. And we got a pitch timer violation on Phillips as well, as the fans acknowledge it this time. Again, the pitch timer is a relatively new thing. There is one in use here in Taiwan, but for a lot of these players, a relatively new thing. And ground ball over too short. Jonathan Phillips, 3 up, 3 down on 3 bouncers on the infield. Good start for Sachin Shah, who threw 8 pitches to Victor Ngupe and just 4 to the other 2 men he faces. Headed to the top half of the second, scoreless. Moving into the top of the second inning, really good start for Tsuchin Shah, who worked a little bit deep against Victor and Gupe and then needed barely any work at all to retire the two men that followed him in the bottom half of the first inning. So Wen Jie-shun leads things off here in the second for the host squad, but today's visiting team, Chinese Taipei. Hualien County native here in Taiwan and a member of the Uni President 7-Eleven Lions. Check that, a member of the TSG Hawks. They are the newest members of the CPBL, the Chinese Professional Baseball League here in Taiwan. As Damon King rebounded from those 2 walks to start things in the first inning and immediately bounced back with a 3-up, 3-down stretch behind it. And Ryan, we were saying in the break, now forever, Damon King is a rope over to first, speared on a hop by Jonathan Phillips, who races it to the bag ahead of Wen Jie-shun. 1 up and 1 down. From now until forever, Damon King gets to say, yeah, I struck out a major leaguer in front of 40,000.
Right.
And that's pretty awesome.
How about that? I mean, I remember you and I both know Todd Van Stensel, who pitches a lot, plenty of times on that Australian national team. But last year in the World Baseball Classic, he punched out Shohei Ohtani. And he loves to cling to that moment.
He has posted that on Instagram
yes.
140 different times, which, by the way, is 10 times fewer than I would have posted.
Yeah, exactly.
If I struck out Shohei Ohtani, that's how I would introduce myself to people.
Yeah, every time he reposts that and I follow him on social media, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Good for you.
I wouldn't even give my name. I would just say, hi, I struck out Shohei Ohtani. I would not. No one needs to know anything else about me if that was me. Is another ground over to first. This one picked cleanly by Phillips as well, but then the transfer is not as clean. And around first, headed for second, Po Shun Wong is into scoring position on the first error of the World Baseball Classic for South Africa.
Well, Tyler, you said Neil Adonis, the manager, said we have to be perfect. In a play like this, he get another ground ball. Yeah, tough one. Loses his footing on the turf. And Damon King just slow to get over there. He saw him getting slow. Excuse me, saw him slow to get over there on the first play. But even on that one, just not in time. And all of a sudden, runner in scoring position.
So, a potential big miscue here early on in this game as Damon King will try to strand another man in scoring position, and he squares off here with the 27-year-old catcher, Chao-Hung Chang. Chang from the Weishuan Dragons, who call Tianmu Baseball Stadium home, a short drive away from here in Taipei, a place where Ryan and I did games for Premier 12 back in November. Weishuan Dragons, team that won the league a couple of seasons ago here in the CPBL. And have built a very loyal following as one of the more recent additions, not as new of a franchise as the TSG Hawks here in Taiwan. 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss.
Does it feel like the PA system is a little bit loud?
It does. It definitely does.
Because, you know, we're kind of stunned a little bit, right? I mean, we've already spent a few days in this Taipei, you mentioned back in November. Last night, and again, I get it. You're playing against Spain, and all of a sudden you're down by 6 midway through that game. You're thinking, hold on a minute. And so the crowd sit down, subdued, quiet. Saturday night here, you feel like, hey, listen, we need to get this crowd cranking for day 2 must win for Chinese Taipei. It just feels a little loud. I can feel the bass through my feet right now.
You know what else amazes me in the games that we've gotten a chance to do here is the 2-2 pitch is off the plate outside. Man, Tyrone Milne was really trying to steal that strike 3, but instead will go to a full count. You look around this ballpark and there is hardly a single seat unoccupied. And I mean that in the sense that, you know, during a game and the second inning at a World Series game or a playoff game, there'll be people on the concourse, people milling around. Undoubtedly, there are some of those people, but man, you look around this ballpark right now, and you are hard-pressed to find a single seat empty.
I'll tell you what, too, like, especially when they're on offense, you go watch a game in Japan, in Taiwan, Korea, You're gonna burn some calories, that's for sure, if you come to a game.
3-2, left side, on the backhand, a great job by Tyler Smith to hang up the lead runner, and now momentarily thought that Victor Ngupe was gonna have a chance at Xiaohong Zhang as well, who rounded first base, but he's able to get back in there with nobody in behind him to receive a throw. But that is a base running blunder there by Po Shun Wong, as that didn't get through.
Yeah, it's a nice play by Tyler Smith. You feel like when you saw that in real time, he gave up that ball a little quick, and you think to yourself, okay, the game starts to speed up. But he gave it up, and Victor Ngupe able to run him down, get that lead runner. That's a huge play. I'll tell you what, Chinese Taipei, we'll talk about this as this game goes on, pressing a little bit as well. I get it, he's kind of caught no man's land, but you've seen this in the first couple innings, offensively, pressing a little bit, trying to force the issue to make something happen quick after last night's loss.
And again, Ryan, the conversation about the youth on this team just gets a little bit more front of mind. And what's interesting is we talked with Hao Ju-sung, the manager of Chinese Taipei, on Thursday before we got started, and the comparison that he made was being a parent trying to teach your kids how to ride a bike. He said with this young group, there is some of that in this, where we throw them out there, we put them out there in this environment of 40,000, and you know, as a parent, you want to stand and hold the back of the bike, make sure the kid doesn't fall off, but at some point you got to let go. And that's sort of what this environment and this World Baseball Classic Qualifier are for this roster. And right now, we just have not seen them get into gear as of yet, as Chen Wei-sung sees the count go to 1-2 on him, and Damon King is doing things right to keep these hitters off balance. And the 1-2 able to hold up. Sung will get another look.
And look at this check swing. Oh, could he use that? You can see that South African bench frustrated. You need to, I'm not saying you need to beg for outs, but you need to pull every advantage you can when we're talking about collecting outs against the South African team.
2 down to make it full. Yeah, that's tough. I thought home plate umpire Scott Costello was going to call that on the swing, and you know, rightly asking for help. Did not end up as a swing and strike 3. So now full count offering, runner on from first, and a rope over past the lunge of Anthony Phillips and on to the left field. So Sung takes advantage of the new life, and it's first and third with 2 outs in the second.
Yeah, and you can see that reaction getting on the board quick. Anthony Phillips really had no chance. He said that top spin off the carpet here on that turf and just skip right by him. Look at this bounce. No chance.
That was 106 miles an hour off the bat.
And the little things, Tyler, you talk about the error over at first base. Tossing over to Damon King. Missing that ball, then all of a sudden, that check swing, obviously out of your control. The little things that add up. Playing against Chinese Taipei, like Neil Madonna said, you've got to be perfect.
First and third, and a no ball, 1 strike count on Xiao Wei Lin. Back at the top of the order. Lin walked and stole second last inning, was left there. Lin able to hold up. I mean, this atmosphere, you can tell, if you're Damon King, even if you're able to get out of this, let's say Damon King goes 4 scoreless tonight, this is still going to be the most exhausting outing of your life, just because of the environment that you're dealing with. 2 balls and a strike.
He's approaching that lineup second time through. And obviously this is not a situation, you know, you talk about the big leagues when you've got these guys with 4-pitch repertoires and they're going to, you know, get a little bit deeper into that 3rd pitch, 4th pitch. But the difference is now Chinese Taipei's had a good look and can pretty much anticipate the fact he's going to nibble a little bit. Can work out bats just like this, 3-1, and then just sit on something middle of the plate.
Wei Lin on deck, runner off from first, and a foul ball will send Jung-Wei Sung back to first. Ju Sung over in the first base dugout. Guy who's been under fire a little bit after last night here in Taiwan. For the way that game was managed, 3-2 is high for ball 4. They're loaded up for Wei Lin. And man, that check swing is looming so large right now. That would have gotten Chinese Taipei out of the inning. Or check that would have gotten South Africa out of the inning. And instead, it continues. And Wei Lin with a chance to give his team its first lead in the WBCQ. There really are very few sports atmospheres on the planet like this.
Absolutely. Again, I just keep putting myself in Damon King's shoes for multiple reasons, but you see right there, 28 balls, 21 strikes, 49 pitches already in the second inning. But you think about just a few weeks back, before he got on the plane and flew over to Taiwan and joined the South African team, he was pitching basically club baseball. If you don't know what that is, you're watching the United States. Basically, it's like a, what can I call it? It's not a beer league team.
An adult league.
An adult league. That's right. Adult league. That's pretty much what it is in South Africa. Here he is.
Buried.
Punching out big leaguers and pitching in front of 40,000 for him.
Runners are going to be off on this pitch. Full count and 2 outs. As Damon King tries to keep this thing scoreless with the specter of Jason Chen looming in the on-deck circle. 3-2 pitch. Called strike 3. Damon King battles back and strands him loaded in the second. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Chinese Taipei and South Africa scoreless in Taiwan. Middle third of the order for South Africa as we go to the bottom of the second inning back at the Taipei Dome alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mon. It is night number 2 of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier here in Taipei. It didn't take long. Route number 1 to find its way into the glove of Wei Lin. who struck out looking to end the top half of the second. Smith, solid contact, but he's gone.
Yeah, put some good contact on that plus fastball, but it's apparent, Tyler, that South Africa are not too concerned about the efficiency of this pitching staff from Chinese Taipei. When we're talking about getting into tomorrow and what they're going to have available. Hack and early, and why not too? Try and jump on that fastball before you get to those secondary pitches with 2 strikes.
South Africa yesterday, one thing that Neil Adonis was really pleased with, he said, I felt like that game yesterday showed we're not afraid of plus velocity. We can hang with velocity, but also we can put together really good at-bats. That's something we touched on early on in that game as a good hop over that third from Yen Tin Wu. Low throw dug out by Bo Shun Wong. And Chukon as Anthony Phillips is retired. One thing we mentioned yesterday early in that South Africa game was they were putting together strong at-bats against Nicaragua. They worked a couple of walks in the first inning. They were getting deep into counts. Even when they weren't putting base runners aboard in the second, third, and fourth, they were having composed good plate appearances. And then in the fifth, they got a run on 3 hits. They left a couple of men on. But I think it showed to this offense that they were not going to be just completely overwhelmed by the pitching they would face here. And they're going to go through the first 2 innings against Chinese Taipei at least even. At worst, Brandon Bouillon takes strike 1. But man, this is a good arm on the other side. Suchen Shah signed with the then Oakland Athletics back in February of 2023. Short time before we came over here for the chaos of Pool A of the 2023 World Baseball Classic. He's an interesting story, and we'll talk about him a little bit more as his start goes along, but he's one of a handful of A's prospects on this Chinese Taipei roster as they flare down the right field line. This could be ticketed for the corner. Touches down. That is a foul ball. Oh, man.
Yeah, Tyler, one thing we didn't touch on either, I just thought of this in regards to Suchen Shah with the Oakland A's. We know about the restrictions these pitchers have when they're with MLB organizations. So, yes, you can go play for your national team. That's fine. However, there's going to be massive limitations on what you can do. Is he looking to maybe replay this foul ball?
Neil Adonis was checking with Brandon Bouillon and his first base coach, Jody Birch, to see if they thought that was actually fair, but they will play this at bat on.
So you get that feeling. Remember, it's late February, right? So these guys are not stretched out. You know how it goes. And I've been in this situation before as well. 2009 World Baseball Classic. We had a whole new coaching staff, and they said, listen, man, you can go play for Australia if you like, but you're only going to throw like an inning. That's it, tops. And we want you to stay in camp with us. We need to get to know each other, etc.
2-2 blown by Brandon Bouillon.
So I knew it was a waste of time to only throw 1 inning. So I'm curious how deep he can go into this game and how that's going to affect his staff.
6 up, 6 down against the right-hander for South Africa. We're headed to the third in a scoreless game in Taipei. Three, 4, and 5 for Chinese Taipei as we move to the top half of the third inning at the Taipei Dome. Jae-Chun Chen, the reigning MVP of Premier 12, set to get things going here in the third. Chen flew out to center field in the first inning. And getting another look here at Damon King, the tall right-hander for South Africa. Talking to his manager, Neil Adonis, today, prior to the start of this game. I said, tell me a little bit about Damon King, and he said he's just going to throw him junk. and he meant it in a complimentary way. Damon's not going to go up there and blow 98, 99 past you, but he's going to try to attack the strike zone and just keep you off balance, mix things correctly. He misses there on the 3-1. And a leadoff walk for Jae-Chun Chen here in the third.
Well, I'm telling you right now, if he could get that first out of the inning, he might be all right. But we watched him, the first couple of hitters of the first inning. If we were sitting here in the third, Tyler, if I told you, hey, listen, he's going to put up zeros getting to this point, I don't know if you believe me, but right now, 57 pitches deep. You're going to have to go to that bullpen at some point here, throwing a ton of pitches.
So it brings up Yu Chang. Struck out swinging, the first of 2 strikeouts so far for Damon King. Ball with no strikes on Chang. Yu Chang, we mentioned that he has returned to Taiwan and is playing here with the Fubon Guardians of the Chinese Professional Baseball League. Last season, 47 games for Yu Chang. He slashed 270, 445, 540. 10 home runs in those 47 games. The reason he played 47 is because he was in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. He was with AAA Durham for a little while, and then he was the first overall pick in the CPBL draft. And the draft here is in June, so he came back here to Taiwan about midway through the season, only played in those 47, but the numbers ridiculous. And the 3-0 pitch is there for strike 1 to him. Got a chance to talk to him a little bit before the game today, and it was just very apparent how much these Chinese Taipei players recognize this is a game that they absolutely have to have. Locked in a scoreless one here in the third. Runner off, and it's roped over the leap of Anthony Phillipson down the left field line. Into third base goes Chun. Chang trying to steal second behind and will do so. And 2 in scoring position to get things started in the third for Chinese Taipei.
Tyler, we talked about this yesterday with South Africa having to catch up to some of the plus velocity. You talked about the comfort level. On the flip side, on the other end of it too, look at this pitch sequence right here. Sometimes you got to slow yourself down. Let that ball travel just a little bit. Yu Chang, you can see him just waiting, let that ball get deep. They're putting a good swing on it. But that's what happens second time around, third time around, when you're facing a guy throwing 80 miles an hour. You used to face him 90, 92s, 93s. And that'll be it for Damon King.
Neil Adonis to the mound where he will get the ball from his right-hander and head to the bullpen for the first time tonight. Crucial moments coming up for South Africa. 2 in scoring position for Chinese Taipei in the third. Tough start to the third inning for South Africa. Runners at second and third. And a new arm into the game in the person of Dean Jacobs. Ryan took the loss yesterday. Did Dean Jacobs a tough situation in extra innings as he was charged with the loss. But for the South Africa team, he had pitched pretty well leading into that extra inning.
Yeah, I mean, they got so much length out of Dylan Unsworth and then Justin Erasmus pitching, going 8. Those two arms, and all of a sudden Dean Jacobs came in and he cleaned them up. But you mentioned giving up that walk-off with that runner at second base. In the 10th inning.
First man in to see him is Nyenting Wu, who bounces one foul first base side to make it 0-2. Wu, one of the many members of the TSG Hawks, the CBBL. Look at how locked in these fans are. On their feet, a second and third situation. This is the third inning of this game, by the way.
They just want this team to break out.
And it feels like the eruption of noise in this building when Chinese Taipei gets a lead is going to be overpowering. That's how much these fans are waiting to burst out, and this will at least get them on the board. An RBI ground out for Nyenting Wu, and Chinese Taipei has its first lead of the World Baseball Classic Qualifier. It's 1-0.
Yeah, they can take a collective breath. It's been a struggle. We talked about it last night. These fans too just get the chance to pan around the crowd. Remember, I mean, they are absolutely in love with the game of baseball, that is for sure. And yeah, we're at the World Baseball Classic Qualifier doing Pool B in 2023. It'd been 10 years essentially since that international competition, going back to 2013. They waited 10 years to have baseball in their backyard. Now all of a sudden you got the Taipei Dome finally built. They can fill this place up, 40,000 people.
You know, and there are a lot of people who coming into this qualifier thinking, all right, that's the #2 ranked program in the world. They just won Premier 12, but how are they in a qualifier? Why do they have to qualify? Well, the reason is the last place teams from all 4 pools in the 2023 Classic sent back to the qualifiers, and it's somewhat easy for the other ones. You can understand the reasons why Nicaragua went winless, China went winless, for example, as the 2-1 pitch foul there. But for Chinese Taipei, they went 2-2 and equaled everybody else's record among the 5 teams that were in that pool in Taichung. But because of the tiebreakers, they ended up here in this qualifier. And man, I mean, we came in thinking, well, Chinese Taipei is just going to truck everyone as a floater out over the leap of Tyler Smith. It's an RBI single for Won Jae-shun, and Chinese Taipei has cashed in both of its leadoff base runners. It's 2-0.
And here it comes, that onslaught of offense against this South African team. But, I mean, they're in a very similar situation here during these qualifiers. When you're talking about what happened last night, nearly getting mercy ruled, getting beat by 9 runs to Spain. You know about the tiebreaker rules? Runs against is going to be a factor here. Nicaragua's 2-0. If Spain take care of South Africa tomorrow in the noon game, they're going to be up against it.
Boshun Wong at the plate. Chao Hung Chang in the on-deck circle going over things with Chengmin Peng. Is a bouncer out to short, will turn into a 6-3 double play. An easy twin killing there for Tyler Smith, and that limits the damage here in the third. A nice job by Dean Jacobs, but 2 runs across for Chinese Taipei, and we're headed to the bottom of the third inning, and the host squad with a 2-0 lead. Fans of Taiwan starting to breathe a little bit easier as we head into the bottom half of the third inning. Their team finally with a lead in this 2025 World Baseball Classic Qualifier. 2-0 our score. A couple home in the top half of the third for the host squad, the visiting team today, as their starting pitcher, Sachin Shah, goes to work against the bottom third of the order for South Africa. Shah, 6 up, 6 down. This is a guy with a really unique baseball background as far as Taiwanese players go. He doesn't have quite the mileage built up on his arm as some other players at this stage in their careers would, and that is because Shah did not focus on baseball as his primary sport until his last couple of years in high school. He was a soccer player. He actually made the Chinese Taipei team at the highest level in junior high school as a soccer player. There's a ground ball over to first. Tyrone Milne, the leadoff man, is retired. 1 up and 1 down. But then started to make baseball his focus. Realized that he probably had a pathway forward with it. He was not drafted by a CPBL team out of high school, so he went to college at the renowned National Taiwan Sport University. He's actually one of 8 players on this roster from that university. And while he was there, not only realizing that he was going to get some looks from CPBL teams, he also started to hear that major league teams were interested in him, and basically said that upon hearing that, he decided, that's what I want. I want to go to a Major League Baseball team. And he ends up signing with the Athletics back in 2023. He's got a couple of A's organizational teammates on this roster, and Wei Un Lin and Shin Jung Ha Guan, fellow pitchers, guys who are around the same stages of their careers. Shah was at Single A last year in the A's organization. Zhuang was with Double A Midland. 1-2 pitch inside, that drills Joshua Wenzel. So the first base runner for South Africa comes with 1 out. You're in the bottom half of the third as Wenzel will take first. But it's not often that we see Taiwanese players and they have come from a different sport to baseball later. I mean, so often we hear these stories about, well, they've been talking about this guy since he was 11 years old. He was a superstar at the youth levels, played in the U12 World Cup, those sorts of things. So it's a different storyline for Shah.
Well, yeah, for sure. And look, to give some context, obviously in the United States, kids specialize in sports, in my opinion, way too early. They go to every showcase there is on the planet. But you make a good point, because here, in Taiwan, baseball is such a focal point in regards to, you get the top tier athletes playing baseball. You're in a country like South Africa, that story might sound a little bit more familiar, right? Played softball, then all of a sudden 15, 16.
Yeah.
Okay, man, he's got a good arm. Let's try and get him into baseball. But not in Taiwan, that is for sure. I mean, they specialize, and baseball is the #1 priority early. So that is extremely rare to see that crossover. Also,
the level of athleticism said, I'll make this national team in soccer, I'll make this one in baseball. Like, that is amazing, man, to be a 2-sport athlete at the highest level as the 1-1 pitch off the plate outside. 2 balls and a strike. Jason Carlsa out of the 9 spot in the lineup. Center fielder for this South Africa squad.
Yeah, it's funny too. I mean, soccer's not really that crossover sport. You know how I run into a bunch of teammates in my time playing professionally, and they'll, a gun quarterback or a football player, or a basketball player with that explosive power.
Because soccer's another sport where it feels like so many breakout athletes are identified so young and they stick with it. Especially you hear about that with European academies and how young players get started on their road to playing in the professional ranks. To just switch stride, and decide, I think I'll just take this sport and ride that to a professional career when you're 16, 17, 18 years old. That is pretty remarkable stuff.
Who knows? Maybe picked up a baseball at a carnival where you throw into that, that little pitch clock, the speed radar, try and break a record.
gun.
They're like, hey, you need to play baseball. Okay.
This is the thing for me.
Pumping 95.
I really thought you were going to say, as a pop-up on the infield, and Shaw's going to call for this one himself and make the play. I really thought you were
There's that athleticism, by the way. Look at the pitchers taking control. I love it. Get out of the way. Hey, by the way, if that's me right there, talk about athleticism on the mound. I'm out of the
I was going to say you're sprinting.
Yes.
You're sprinting away from it.
Correct.
I thought you were going to say maybe you picked up a ball. The carnival, it had an old dusty
I was trying to paint the picture a little bit better, but I did a terrible job. Yes.
It was signed Ryan Roland Smith. The Rhinos.
You know, baseball's not a big deal in Australia. So people are like, how'd you get into baseball? I was skipping rocks down at the beach, and a scout walked by and said, hey, you come to the United States. It's like, okay, pack your bags, boom. I was on the next plane. I've told that story many times. People are like, oh, wow, that's great.
The stories of dreams.
Yes.
The young prodigy, Ryan Roland Smith, will get a visit to the mound here.
Well, hey, look at this. I mean, look at that. Calling everyone off right away. See, I would be way out of the shot right here. I mean, we talked about my last bunt attempt yesterday with the D-backs.
This is interesting. This is now turning into a trainer visit as Wepeng Lin, the pitching coach for this Chinese Taipei team, the gentleman who is closest to the screen wearing the hoodie, that is Eric Riegelsberger, who is the athletic trainer with this Chinese Taipei squad and a member of the Texas Rangers organization. And, ooh, this is not what you want to see.
Yeah, May rolled his ankle on that last pitch.
So Shaw talking things over now with members of the staff. And I mean, obviously, Chinese Taipei, you're going to err on the side of being extremely cautious with a guy who was signed professionally elsewhere.
And again, look, I was watching this pitch count start to rack up. We're in the third inning right now, but again, I mean, it's late February. He's not built up. He's with an MLB organization, so I am kind of shocked the fact we're pushing 37 pitches right here. Having to go back to spring training right after this.
Wepeng Lin, the pitching coach, heads back to the dugout on the first base side, and looks like this might be they're calling for a bottle of water. As you get a look at some of the other affiliated guys.
He's got out of shape since his soccer days, football days, soccer.
I was going to say, I called him a soccer player. I didn't know if I needed to change that to footballer.
Every time I say soccer, I'm like, hold on a minute. I've got some friends watching in different countries. They're going to get very upset when I'm going to
wear you out.
That's right.
It appears that Sichin Shah is going to at least try to pitch through this. This is interesting, though. I mean, so often, Ryan, we're working these international events, and you see a young guy who is signed by a major league organization or even an NPB club, a KBO club, and any little thing happens, and immediately that's it. Yeah. He's done.
That's what I'm saying. I'm a little surprised. Get a call from the Oakland Athletics tomorrow. Excuse me, the Athletics tomorrow.
Wepeng Lin discussing things with Chinese Taipei's interpreter. And Shah, I think, is going to leave this game. And you can see, I mean, that's a veteran in Yu Chang who seemed to be saying, like, don't risk this. Right. And that's going to be it for Sichin Shah. That is a tough way to go out as he shares a big hug with his backstop. And Shah will exit this game here with a 1-ball, no-strike count on Victor Ngupe. Chinese Taipei headed to the bullpen when we return.
Starting pitcher Suchin Shah was cruising here in the third inning, and then threw his first pitch to Victor Ngupe, felt something off and has departed this game. And Ryan Rowland-Smith, not what you want if you are Hao Ju-sung and this Chinese Taipei coaching staff, because yesterday you had a starting pitcher that was barely able to get past the first inning in Yu Hung Chun, and then you used 8 relievers out of the bullpen, and one of those guys is on the mound in relief of Shah here. It's Dongming Lee, who finished that game on the pitcher's mound for Chinese Taipei yesterday. So he is now done for tomorrow after back-to-back days of work. You have to get a mandatory day of rest, so you will not be able to use Lee tomorrow. But beyond that, now you have to figure out a way to get the next, essentially, 6+ innings in the books.
Yeah.
Using a very hampered pitching staff. Right.
I mean, a lot of innings to cover right now. And again, going back to this, it's not because, look, no disrespect to South Africa, but Chinese Taipei is not trying to navigate through the South African lineup. This is about tomorrow. Nicaragua, who, by the way, has the leg up because they're 2-0. And you look at these rules, 50+ pitches, you got 4 days rest. So at this point on in the tournament, you go 50+, you are done. 30+ pitches, you need that extra day rest. That also includes the off day if Chinese Taipei have to play on Tuesday. But the pitching the 2 consecutive days, this is the concern right now. When you're looking at 9 guys who threw last night, you said it, Tyler, they got a lot of innings to cover, so you're going to have to get real clever here if you are this the Chinese Taipei coaching staff.
So obviously with the injury, Suchin Shah departing the game, that gives Dongming Lee all the time that he needs to warm up. And get another look at what happened here. This is Shah backpedaling off the mound to catch that pop-up. Didn't seem like anything was weird there. So the only thing you can think of is that delivery with Suchin Shah, and maybe something with that push foot. But man, that's a tough way to see a 21-year-old have to depart a start in which he's throwing really well in front of 40,000 fans.
Yeah, and got a nice little rhythm too. And look, we talked about this quite a bit yesterday, and we've always talked about this at the World Baseball Classic. This time of year, you're usually getting ready in spring training, or for these Chinese Taipei players, the CPBL, or wherever you're playing. When you have a chance in late February to have this kind of adrenaline running through you, it can jumpstart your season. Now, he's coming off, we're talking about Shah, he's coming off a rough year in A-ball with the Oakland A's. You come out here in front of 40,000, get fired up, it can springboard you once you get back to spring training, full of confidence, and kick your season off right.
First pitch fastball in there from Dongming Lee to Victor Ngupe, who stepped into the box on a 1-0 count after Shah's last offering. It's kind of a weird situation for Ngupe as well, as he's got, you know, 5-8 minutes of standing around with the injury timeout and the warm-up pitches for Dongming Lee. Ngupe yesterday singled to drive in the lone run of the game for South Africa, trying to get his team its first hit here in the bottom of the third, and he lifts one out to the left. Xiaowei Lin has it in his sights, and the inning is over. A lengthy bottom of the third inning it was, and a starting pitcher out of this game due to an apparent injury. But we will head to the fourth, and Chinese Taipei's got a 2-0 lead.
Bow on batting as the catcher, number 63, Jiang Shaohong.
8-9-1 as we head to the top half of the 4th inning, back at the Taipei Dome on the beautiful island of Taiwan. Tyler Mon, Ryan Roland Smith. It is a 2-0 lead for the home squad, Chinese Taipei. Xiaohong Chang will lead things off out of the 8th spot in the order for his team. Then it's Chung Rae Sung. Ball yanked foul. Makes it 1-1. And then back at the top of the order, Chao Wei Lin. Chinese Taipei, 2 runs on 4 hits through 3 innings at the dish. But it just feels like this offense is capable of so much, Ryan.
Yeah.
And at some point, there is going to be an avalanche of hits and runs that come from them. Just not sure when that is going to come, and if it is going to come soon enough for these fans. Xiaohong Chang reached on a fielder's choice in the 2nd inning. He's the first man in to see Dean Jacobs here in the 4th after Jacobs entered following the walk and double yielded by Damon King in the top half of the 3rd. One-two pitch.
Yeah, one thing that was impressive yesterday, Tyler, with the South African team on the pitching side of things, we talk about the lack of depth with Dylan Unsworth, Justin Erasmus.
2-2, a blooper out towards 2nd, and great glove and transfer there by Victor Ngupe. One away.
Yeah, both those guys just filling up the strike zone. Wasn't overpowering stuff. Dylan Unsworth was a former top prospect with the Seattle Mariners, but he doesn't have the same kind of life on his fastball. But you're giving yourself a chance. You can get to 1-2, 0-2 counts. I said this early in the game. You know, going to the major league level, a team I cover, the Seattle Mariners, best pitching staff, arguably, in Major League Baseball. And one thing that they preach in their minor league system is we are going to beat you with counts. In other words, if you are going to work through this minor league system, go from A ball, AA, AAA, you have to prove to us that your strike percentage can be through the roof, and then you can find your way to 0-2 as fast and efficiently as possible. And when you can do that, the stuff, that's the second step we're talking about. The stuff will play. And obviously they got guys at the strike throws like George Kirby, you know, Logan Gilbert, but you look at their rotation when you talk about strike percentage. So I think with looking at this stuff, we know it's underwhelming from South Africa, and they'll be the first to tell you that. But if you keep slipping into these 2-1 counts, 2-0 counts, you have got no chance of surviving this lineup.
Two balls and 2 strikes here on Chung Rae Sung.
Another example of that, I got a chance to play with Cliff Lee, who went from being designated for assignment to then winning the Cy Young the next year. And I said to him, I said, hey, listen, he came over in the trade. I said, what was the difference? And he said, dude, it's about counts. It's all about counts.
2-2 line left side, nice stab on the backhand. Tyler Smith, long throw to first, nearly in time to get Sung. Look at that facial expression from Jonathan Phillips. Like, man, how'd you do that? It was one heck of a play.
I mean, enough range to his right to get to this ball, but this is where arm strength comes in. Trying to throw off no feet, do the Derek Jeter deep in the hole. And you need to have some plus arm strength to make this a play.
Shortstop wearing number 2. He made that look just like the captain and nearly got the out. We have a pitch timer violation here on Chao Wei Lin, so it'll be no balls and a strike on him. And a ground ball, it'll scoot through on the left side, a base hit. First and second with 1 out to set things up for the big bats.
Yeah, this is just Ambushing that first pitch. Yeah, just letting that ball get a little deeper. Good contact off that AstroTurf, sneaking through the hole.
Zhou Lin, a walk and a strikeout in his first 2 trips to the plate. Bats with runners at first and second. The former Boston Red Sox prospect and 102-game big leaguer from 2017 to 2021. Last of those big league games, the only one in his career that he played for a team other than Boston, came to the Minnesota Twins in 2021. Hitters count for him. And he takes the 2-0 inside, 3 balls and no strikes. Ball 4, nowhere close. And Lin's second walk of the day loads him up for the captain, Jae-Shun Chen.
I'll tell you what, Jacobs, I don't know when the last time it has been that he's pitched back-to-back games. We talked about pitching the adult league, essentially, the equivalent. As you see a visit from the pitching coach, Darren Smith, but when was the last time he pitched back-to-back days, by the way? It's exhausting.
And again, especially, the amount of times that we're going to talk about this, considerable, but in this environment. That gentleman on the left of your screen is Mark Moreau, who is the president of the South African Baseball Federation, who's accompanied this team here to Taiwan. As the meeting of the mound wraps up, Darren Smith will head back into the third base dugout, but South Africa with the southpaw Damian Perkins working in a real tight spot here. Bases loaded, 1 out. Chinese Taipei trying to break through in the 4th. And a first pitch fooled Jae-Shun Chen. It's 0-1. Chen's numbers, Ryan, back in Premier 12, absurd. The amount of damage that he did at the plate, monstrous for Chinese Taipei, and he's fooled again on that pitch, but so was Tyrone Milne, and the wild pitch brings in a run. It's 3-0.
I was just about to say, with loaded bases, and the captain, the beloved captain of this Chinese Taipei team, if he had double in the gap, this place would erupt.
The slash line for Jae-Shun Chen, 625, 700, 917 in Premier 12. He's been a little bit quieter here through the first couple days of the Classic. Walked in his last trip to the plate.
I'll tell you what, though, the difference is watching him and some of the non-verbals. We saw this back in November, right? The smiles and that relaxed, that laid-back style, we're not used to seeing that from Chinese Taipei. We're starting to see that a little bit more here night number 2, a little bit more comfortable. And again, this young roster, they look up to Hugh Chang, they look up to this man at the plate. He's got that presence.
I think that's a perfect word for Jae-Shun Chen, the presence of the captain, who swings and bounces this one over the glove of the reliever Jacobs, and Gupe will get the out at first, but it's an RBI ground out, the second of the day for a Chinese Taipei hitter, and it is now a 4-0 lead for the host squad.
Yeah, nothing pretty right now from Chinese Taipei, nothing too explosive in regards to this contact, but chipping away, 4-0 lead here in the 4th inning.
And with a man in scoring position and 2 gone, here is Yu Chang. First pitch to the Chinese Taipei shortstop there for a strike.
Charlie just had that feeling he hit something middle in. He was absolutely unleash on something middle in if he gets it. Ooh, there it was.
Comes up empty there, and it's quickly no balls and 2 strikes on him, and a smile, that $1 million smile from Yu Chang. Knew he just missed it. Oh, 2, foul back. Yu Chang was the hero and the MVP of pool play back in 2023. Decimated pitching across that group. Big home runs against Italy, against the Netherlands, against Cuba. And a guy who wrote his story in an incredible way after initially turning down the invitation to be part of that World Baseball Classic team. Reversed course, runner off with a pitch, and the 1-2 is ball 2, and it's a stolen base for Tse-Wei Lin.
Yeah, just walking in. Tell you what, Jacobs holding these runners on. It's the same look, the same timing every single time he goes to the plate.
2-2. Yu Chang high and deep to left, but Joshua Wenzel's got this one in his sights, and that will wrap things up in the 4th. 2 more across for Chinese Taipei, doubling the lead and carrying a 4-run advantage to the bottom of the 4th inning at the Taipei Dome. Tyler Smith will lead things off for South Africa as we head into the bottom half of the 4th inning. An amazing play in the field. Didn't result in an out, but he's going to have Chinese Taipei's first hit allowed as Smith serves one into center field, and a leadoff single gets South Africa into that column here in the bottom half of the 4th inning.
Yeah, you feel like some of these swings, some of these at-bats, ever since Shah left the game, the starting pitcher, South Africa look a little bit more comfortable. We talked about this to Neil Adonis the other day. By the time they get done with some of these tournaments, whether it's a youth event, a U23s, or this, they start to catch up to some of the plus velocity that they never, ever see back in South Africa. And they start to get a little bit more comfortable at the dish.
We did get an update from the Chinese Taipei side. The starter, Tse-Chen Shah, was experiencing cramping in his calves, and that was the reason behind the early exit from this game. So that'll be presumably the only time we see Shah here in this World Baseball Classic qualifier. I think I kind of had a little Harry Potter look to him. as that ball will scoot away from Xiaoheng Chang, and a wild pitch that enables Tyler Smith to take second, but Jonathan Phillips is gone on strikes for out number 1. But the thing that really completed that moment, that nice catch by that fan over on the first base side, the salutes, which is such an iconic Taiwanese baseball celebration these days after Yu Chang's heroics in the World Baseball Classic.
Is that where that kicked off with Yu Chang?
He was and the thing that's so funny is anytime there is a post about Yu Chang on baseball social media, anywhere, fans from Taiwan still comment the salute emoji. I mean, you'll go through the comments on Yu Chang's home run last night on the MLB and WBC baseball Instagram accounts, and it's just hundreds of people commenting with the salute emoji.
Yeah, he's such a big presence, and you kind of touched on it, just the controversy joining that team in 2023.
Line drive to center field, and Chang, a great effort, but it's past him, rounding third base and scoring Tyler Smith, and South Africa on the board on the RBI knock by Brandon Smith.
Yeah, staying up the middle. Not wasting any time getting the pitch out over the plate. Ball kind of sinking away from him. All of a sudden, South Africa in business.
Pretty awesome moment for the Smith family. One brother driving in another. Their dad, Darren Smith, is the pitching coach who made the visit to the mound in the last half inning. And the RBI knock for Brandon gets his team on the board. It's kind of, I mean, we're talking about this Chinese Taipei offense coming to life and the things that they've started to do well. This is far from a certainty today. The Chinese Taipei is going to grab this win and move on to tomorrow for a showdown with Nicaragua at 1-1. South Africa's not going anywhere. Now ball driven in the air to right field, but that'll slice over to Cheng Wei Sung, who was able to retire Anthony Phillips. That came off the bat. I thought that was headed to the gap for sure.
Yeah, better swings, better looks from South Africa, that's for sure.
A couple of arms getting loose. Bo Yun Chun, the Pittsburgh Pirates prospect, on the left of your screen. Chun is a really fun arm and another great baseball story we'll get to tell you about if he enters this game. As with 2 outs and Brandon Smith over at first, there's another Brandon Bouillon. Good block behind the dish there. Xiaoheng Chang able to keep that close. Hao Ju-sung, the manager of this Chinese Taipei squad, the manager of the Global Championship Premier 12 team from November. This is a different animal, this World Baseball Classic. Managing this pitching staff is different. The pitch counts, the different limitations. But with his offense coming alive today, feeling a little bit better than this time last night, certainly.
Yeah, I want to express too, just with the pitch limitations, if you're watching in the United States right now and you're used to watching Team USA roll out, you know, entire bullpen, entire pitching staff where you can just go inning each, 2 innings each, whatever it may be, just domination. It's different when you have countries like South Africa. We know about the depth, even Chinese Taipei, some of the depth issues they have.
Swinging another blooper to left. That'll get down for a base hit. Third hit of the inning for South Africa, and the tying run's going to come to the plate here in the bottom half of the fourth after Brandon Bouillon's single.
Now with 2 strikes, 0-2 count. Pitches in on the hands. See a little part of that bat chipping away, but died a hero. Look at this. Base hit, South Africa all of a sudden. 4-1 game right now.
So it pushes Brandon Smith to scoring position. And Chinese Taipei kind of slowing things down on the infield to potentially give Po Yu Chun enough time to be ready in that Bullpen under the first base stands here at the Taipei Dome. A big opportunity here for Tyrone Milne, the catcher. First pitch is ball one. Milne out of Cape Town, member of the Belleville Tigers Club, his home squad in South Africa. One. First full inning of work for Dong Ming Lee. A throw back in behind Bouillon at first. Good idea, but Bouillon alert to it. Two one foul ball puts it even. Milne was right on that one.
This is the issue last night for Lee against Spain, putting hitters away in that last inning. He's struggling here as well, South Africa. See what he does here with 2 strikes. Good chase.
2-2. Elevated there, and Milne gets under it to the left side of the infield, and Yen-Tsing Wu puts it away. And that'll do it for South Africa in the 4th. But South Africa on to the board, and as we head to the 5th, 3-run game, Chinese Taipei in the lead. Leadoff man for Chinese Taipei as we head to the top half of the 5th inning is Yen-Tsing Wu, the 3rd baseman. First pitch there for a strike to him. It'll be a 3rd inning of work, a 2nd full inning for Dean Jacobs.
I was just about to say, he's going to be running on fumes right now. We're pushing 40 pitches. This is his 2nd day in a row. And again, you see big leaguers go back-to-back days, whatever. But again, when you're playing in adult league once a week, and then you're asked to go 40 plus, day 2 in front of 40,000, you have got to be absolutely gassed.
Yeah, not something that Dean Jacobs would be super familiar to, having done a lot in his career. A guy who has pitched for this South African team in multiple World Baseball Classic Qualifier events.
I remember the first time I went back-to-back, it was in the big leagues, and it's kind of what happens, right? You get AA, AAA, and they kind of cycle you through, because it's all about development, right? AA and AAA. You get to the big leagues, you have a little bit of success, and they're going to ask you to pitch back-to-back days. When I first got to the big leagues, I was more of like a mop-up guy, so I'd be watching that starting pitcher. If they give it up, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to wear it. But I remember it's a bit of a shock the first couple times you go back-to-back. It's a big adjustment. I guarantee it's right now for Dean Jacobs.
Yeah, I hate having to work my job on 2 straight days. No, but it is, and especially, I mean, the ability that's a great pitch to get that thing cutting back across the plate. The ability to do it, you know, it's one thing on the first night to confront this atmosphere when you are 100%, but to have thrown last night and now be battling through this in multiple innings.
And on the flip side, sometimes that can work in your favor, because you're not so geared up. You can kind of just, you know what, I'm kind of cooked here a little bit.
1-0 pitch off the plate inside to 1G Shun.
But you're right, though. I mean, that adrenaline will give you that extra boost, and then you'll wake up tomorrow morning and be like, yeah, I think I did a day. Jeez,
you know, it's
take
funny,
your rules.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I was thinking about that earlier today, talking with these South Africa guys. Quick and clean pick and throw there by Tyler Smith. Can you imagine how well these guys must sleep after this experience? I mean, this is some dreamland baseball atmosphere that you get to go out and take part in for the first, maybe the only time in your life. And the way this energy just washes over you and pours through you, if you are Dean Jacobs, you have earned a good night's rest after this, as Dean Jacobs will exit and head to that third base dugout. South Africa going to the bullpen for the first time, or for the second time rather, here in the fifth. 4-1, Chinese Taipei with the lead. Well, ever since the first 2 World Baseball Classics, in which participation was determined by invitation only, South Africa has been searching for a way back in to the big dance. They nearly made it against Ryan Rowland-Smith and Australia in 2016, but they were eliminated in the first round in 2022. They are trying to avoid the same fate here in 2025. And the newest arm into the game to try to hold the line for the South Africa bullpen is Damian Perkins, who comes on with the bases empty and 2 outs in the 5th inning. And goes to work against Postman Long at the 7th spot in the lineup for his team.
Damian Perkins, 30 years old. Only played on the U23s team. Making his national team debut right now.
Ball and 2 strikes on Wong, who was 0 for 2, reached on an error, grounded into a double play. 1-2 pitch. Good break breaking ball that throws Wong and does not get the call. Now a slow bouncer out towards second. Victor Ngupe's got a hustle at the first, not in time to get Wong. That is a first baseman burning it up the line, and he beat it out.
Well, had some English on it as well. Neil Adonis maybe wanted to take a second look, but you know, one of the things with these South African pitchers, we talk about their lack of velocity. Yeah, look at that swing. I mean, again, you have to readjust, right? It's below bat speed. Basically, you got to slow yourself down a little bit. You see that ball, that swing well out in front. Some speed getting down the line as well.
It was a great sequence from Damian Perkins, and looked as though he had maybe gotten strike 3 snapped in there, but instead Wong takes advantage of the extra life, finds his way on with 2 gone here in the 5th inning, and Xiao Chung, the catcher, trying to keep it going. Part of the plate there.
Tom, I'm going to say it again. I can't emphasize enough the nerves that Perkins is feeling right now. I mean, he's up here. He's pumping 75 miles an hour.
The old soft tossing lefty.
Right. I mean,
crafty guy.
Thrown onto the international stage.
Yeah.
Fresh off, but essentially, and again, I can speak from a place like, coming from Australia. You play on non-baseball patches of grass. You play on like I guarantee he's probably playing on a cricket field somewhere with bases set out. And all of a sudden, you hear the Taipei Dome. It's absolutely wild.
That is one of
you got the pitch clock to deal with. You got the 40,000 to deal with.
One of the coolest things about the World Baseball Classic is the experience that these guys get in these types of environments. 2-2 pitch up and away. And I mean, stories that they get to take back for the rest of their lives.
Big time. I mean, his heart would be pumped out of his chest right now. There you go.
Liner over to third, picked on a hop by Phillips, and that will do the job. And a fired up Damian Perkins takes his team into the dugout on the third base side. South Africa is right in this game as we head to the bottom of the 5th. It's a 4-1 lead for Chinese Taipei.
start of the game for Chinese Taipei as we head into the bottom half of the 5th inning in a game that is still very much a game. It is the right-hander Po Yu Chun who takes over on the hill for his squad. Po Yu Chun is a name that you might be familiar with if you are an international baseball fan, because he really arrived on the international scene 5 years ago, coming up on 6 years ago now, at the 2019 U18 Baseball World Cup. This is a guy who pitched in previous youth level World Cups, but was also a position player. Decided to move full-time to pitching for that 2019 U18 Baseball World Cup, and that was an event that featured the likes of Roki Sasaki. As he blows that one by Victor Ngupe, and it is out number 1.
It's the changeup. In on the hands. Good arm speed too, man. You're talking 94s, 95s. Keep that arm speed. 87 on that changeup.
There were some pretty big names on the USA Baseball roster for that U18 Baseball World Cup in 2019, including Pete Crow Armstrong, who was on that team, and Po Yu Chun was brilliant. He pitched in 3 games in that World Cup. He made 2 starts. Over 14 innings, he struck out 12, walked 3, only gave up 3 runs, 2 of them earned on 9 hits. Earned 2 wins, picked up a save. The save that he earned was in the final against the United States, and it snapped a string of, I believe at that time, 4 straight U18 Baseball World Cup championships for USA Baseball. It was Chinese Taipei's first title in that event since 2010. And he won just about every accolade that you could dream of in that event, and signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates in October of 2020. So he's got a second strikeout here.
Yeah, and showcasing the arsenal too. Got that plus fastball, 94s, 95s. Both sides of the plate through that changeup. Punch out, and then all of a sudden that big breaking ball right there below the zone.
So Wenzel and Carelsa gone, and now it'll go to Victor Ngupe back at the top of the order. Po Yu Chun, it was thought for a little while maybe was going to give it a go as a 2-way player, but then signing with the Pirates in 2020, he has made the climb as a pitcher, reached Double-A, spent time at PNG Field in Altoona, Pennsylvania, pitching for the Altoona Curve in the Double-A Eastern League last year. He is a really promising arm. 23 years old. Ground ball out too short. Inning over. 3 up, 3 down against the Pirates prospect, Po Yu Chun. And we head to the 6th, a 4-1 lead. Chinese Taipei out in front of South Africa.
Top half of the 6th inning as Chinese Taipei looks to maybe build a little bit of breathing room on a 3-run lead over South Africa as the leadoff man for the host team, not the home team tonight, at least in the box score. Chung-Rae Sung there for strike 1. Sung getting his first look at Damian Perkins, who induces a blooper out toward right field and racing in on a dive. Brandon Bouillon sees this one get past him. Sung is around second and digging for third. Here he comes with a wave around the third base bag, and it will be an inside the park home run for Chung-Rae Sung. Neil Adonis requests a review. That was close at the plate. But as it stands right now, the dive by Bouillon, the gamble, turns this into an inside the Parker.
Yeah, Tyler, if you are going to dive, especially when you're talking AstroTurf, you better be very sure, number one, you can either catch the ball or keep it in front of you. You can see that hesitation, those couple of steps. And it felt like Bouillon had to make up for it. We'll get another look here. Ooh.
Oh, man.
That foot skip. Definitely beat the throw, but did that foot skip over the plate? No, I don't think so.
Nope, looks like the toe got down on it. And a very quick review confirms that that is an inside the park home run. And Chinese Taipei adds one to the lead here in the top of the 6th. And that'll send it back to the top of the order. So we have seen a hidden ball trick. We have seen a player retired on the bases on what we assume was his belief from an opposing fielder that a ball that was ball 4 had actually been a foul ball. Turned around and walked off the bag, was tagged out there.
Sprinkling a couple pitch clock violations.
About 50 of them. We've seen some weird stuff the first couple days of this World Baseball Classic Qualifier. February baseball, man, there is nothing like the WBC qualifiers. We were lucky enough to do these, although not in February, but back in 2022 in Regensburg, Germany, and Panama City, Panama. Had an absolute blast through those two 6-team events 3 years ago.
Shout out to Regensburg, Germany, my new favorite tourist destination.
2-2, rolled left side, nice pick, but a late throw. Anthony Phillips couldn't get it there in time to beat Xiaowei Lin.
Yeah, this is where that game starts to speed up on you just a little bit, literally. Yeah, Lin and his Chinese Taipei team just starting to have a little bit of fun, and pressure's off. Yeah, you can see here, the minute you see Bouillon go to his chest, trying to dive for that ball, that's when you turn on the afterburners right there, smelling, sniffing out that inside the park home run.
That is an electric moment in this ballpark. As the 2-hole hitter, Xiaowei Lin, takes that pitch down for ball 1. That goes up as an error on South Africa, by the way, to allow Lin aboard. Check that. Actually, no, that is up there as an infield single. I was saying that would have been a tough luck error. So Wei Lin at the plate. Takes the 1-0 just away.
Tyler, going back to giving a shout out to Regensburg, Germany. That was our first chance to do a World Baseball Classic event together, and man, what an experience.
And that comes in tight and hits Wei Lin. And it's so funny to think now about that gorgeous little ballpark in Regensburg, the terrific crowds that we got. But when the Regensburg ballpark got loud, I mean, there could have been 800 people there, and it could have gotten loud because it was so small and so intimate. This is the polar opposite of that, baseball-wise.
But just going to a place like you're in the middle of Germany, which you know, they have a good baseball community there, but it's a non-baseball country, and just how appreciative the baseball community, even though it was small, for us to come there. Everyone just smiles on their face the whole week we were there. Just a really good crew of people from everyone in Major League Baseball. Samantha Colastro, giving her a shout out. Chance to work with her, Tim Fryer. But good times, but definitely nice being here in the Taipei Dome here in 2025.
Jisha Chen takes that pitch away. 2 balls and no strikes as they checked in on Chao Wei Lin at second base. Germany back in the qualifiers here in 2025 as Chen pushes that one foul. They will be taking part in the Tucson qualifier coming up next week.
It's tougher to get your ticket to try and qualify these days. Less teams. You know, we saw New Zealand, we saw Pakistan, some of these countries down in Panama getting a chance to qualify. A little bit different this year. A little tighter conditions trying to qualify for these to get to the back to the World Baseball Classic.
Bunt is down, and a successful one there for Chen as he is retired, and a guy who has accomplished just about everything there is to accomplish in Taiwanese baseball, sacrificing himself to move runners to second and third as the first out of the 6th inning.
And you're probably wondering, listen, why they bunt? Well, you look at this. We know about the pitching issues that Chinese Taipei, they still have. And so you're looking at this going, all right, it's 5-1. If we can push across 2 runs right here in the 6th, make it 7-1. Now we're pushing up against a mercy rule here in the 7th inning. 10 runs in the 7th, 15 runs in the 5th. We're well past that. But if you can get to 10 runs, you can save those innings from your pitching staff in Nicaragua tomorrow. A really crucial game for Chinese Taipei.
That is a really good point. And I mean, it's not like a running up the score sort of scenario as Yu Chang will take an intentional walk. But if you are able to save a couple of innings for your pitching staff, I mean, that could play a big factor tomorrow against Nicaragua as the bases are loaded here for Nianting Wu. With just 1 out, and Wu goes back up the middle, and Gupe there, the flip with the glove, 4-6-3, beautifully turned by South Africa, and so much for a budding offensive inning for Chinese Taipei as the double play wraps things up. Victor and Gupe flashing the leather quite literally, and we are headed to the bottom of the 6th. First pitch hit by pitch to get things started for South Africa in the bottom of the 6th inning. The leadoff man, Tyler Smith, will take first base. It was a dominant Bottom of the 5th inning for Po-Yen Chen, the Pittsburgh Pirates prospect, but he plunks Smith here, and we will see Jonathan Phillips come to the plate. Tyler Smith and his brother Brandon Smith, they teamed up for the first run of this game back in the 4th. Tyler singled to lead off the 4th inning. Went to second base on a wild pitch, and then was singled home by his brother 2 batters later. They're going to check on Tyler Smith over there at first base. Kevin Rand, the athletic trainer for South Africa, out to see Smith. That did get him on the lower part of the, you know, you turn and get the calf or something, you still aren't thrilled about how it feels, but that seemed like it caught him a little bit below the bulk of that right leg calf area. Hopefully Tyler Smith is okay as we look at the South Africa delegation from the third base side near their team's dugout.
Yeah, a little bit of cramping going on. He doesn't want to come out of his game.
Kevin Rand, the athletic trainer for South Africa. I thought that was George Lucas for a second. That's a dead ringer.
Star Trek, right?
Star Wars.
I'm just kidding.
I was like, man, really?
You're a big Star Wars guy, I'm sure, Tyler.
No,
really?
Not really. As a flare out to short, Yu Chang's got it. Chance at a double play, and he knocks it out. Jonathan Phillips, a flare up the middle as South Africa tries to build something here, trailing by just 4, but Yu Chang erases the leadoff base runner.
And you get that double play with loaded bases. Keep it at 5-1. You feel like you got potentially something building middle of your lineup. And just like that. About 20 seconds later, doubled up.
So instead of batting with his brother aboard, Brandon Smith comes to the plate with 2 outs and the bases cleared. Smith, that RBI single in the 4th. Had a sharp line out leading off the 2nd inning to second base. Two balls, no strikes, 2 gone. Big hack and miss. Brandon and Tyler Smith from Durban. Tyler, the older brother. They play for the Bothasig Knights back home in South Africa.
Just blowing fastballs by him. It's a situation where, you know what, don't even give him a chance right here, but go with that big break ball.
2 balls and 2 strikes. South Africa still very much in this game, trailing it by 4, but the outs are starting to run short. They got 10 to work with just a run on 3 hits to this point. Chun deals. Smith stays alive.
You see right there, 5 pitches, straight heaters. Go up in the strike zone right here. He's got no chance.
Called strike 3. He freezes Brandon Smith for the final out of the 6th inning. Chinese Taipei in control in this one. 3rd strikeout for Po-Yen Chen out of the bullpen. We're headed to the 7th in a 4-run game. first mound for South Africa here in the top half of the 7th inning. Josh Tribe will take over for his squad. The 21-year-old right-hander, a member of his country's U23 Baseball World Cup squad, and a junior college pitcher in the United States, pitching for Crowder College. Josh Tribe, as he enters here to face 6, 7, and 8 in the Chinese Taipei lineup. Wen Shun, first man in to see him, and a fly ball down the left field line. This is a long run and a 3-man conversion. That'll drop in foul territory.
Yeah, you see Tyler Smith starting to limp a little bit after taking that ball off the shin. Yeah, you see Josh Tribe playing junior college baseball. That's kind of the route now, the way to go if you're coming from Australia, where I'm from. Get into the college system, you get to develop, mature a little bit more. Usually the top guys are signed professionally out of high school, but that's such a good pipeline for these South African kids. They can get to the US, get a chance to have baseball activity every single day. That's what's lacking in some of these non-baseball countries. Get a chance to have that baseball specific every single day.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Chun here. You know, for South Africa, Ryan, you made a good point earlier. They are very much showcasing that they can hang in this tournament. Their progression from day one through the end of events, as we were talking about, you know, especially at the youth levels, is so pronounced. U12s, U15s, U18s, U23s. The troublesome thing as a fly ball struck to center field, where, man, Jason Carilso was playing way deep. We'll pull it in for the out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. But for South Africa, you are so cognizant of the fact that this team has the talent to compete on these stages. What they are not getting as of yet are the opportunities to play a lot of these games at this high level. And we talked with Neil Adonis and with the press officer, JP Naude, of this South Africa team about what they are trying to do to get more of these games. There's a one-hop flare and a difficult play out at short. It's going to turn into a one-out base runner. Tyler Smith, that thing coming in, just kind of handcuffed him.
Yeah, kind of caught in between right here. It's a situation where you can see him, he's thinking to himself, man, this is kind of dancing right in front of me. Do I take that extra step in, or is this ball going to topspin enough and get that bounce? But Tyler, you're right. One thing, look, again, I can speak from the South African point of view, coming from Australia, where a lot of these players, especially the youth players, they're under-rep. We talk about in the United States, travel baseball, these kids are playing way too much. You know, pitching 60 pitches on a Saturday, backing it up on a Sunday when they're 13 years old at some travel baseball tournament. But in these countries, you just don't get the reps. And so it's really, really important if South Africa can get some kind of system where these players can go off and widen that net, get as many of your youth players off to junior college and playing in the United States, where you do have baseball activity every single day. And then you're going to develop some of that velocity. We're starting to see upper 80s right now from Tribe. I mean, you're not going to get that if you're hanging out in South Africa as a 20-year-old playing club ball. You're just simply not going to get. He's going to be sitting at 83, and then you're going to develop that breaking ball. If you can widen that net, it's really, really important. Travis Bazana is a classic example. The first pick overall, a kid I've known since he was 12 years old back in Australia. He's the kind of the pinnacle of that. He matured enough once he got to Oregon State, and he became, you know, one of the biggest prospects, first overall pick in the draft.
1-1, runner off, throw to second is not going to be in time to get him. It is a stolen base for Boshwan Wong, and a man in scoring position now for Chao Hung Chung with a 4-run lead for his team. And, you know, beyond just the individual player development as well, there is the national team development. And for South Africa, a large component to being able to take that next step developmentally is bringing along the development of other countries in baseball. And it's something that Major League Baseball has emphasized, the World Baseball Softball Confederation has emphasized. getting other countries on the African continent to play baseball more regularly. Uganda has put together some impressive teams in recent years. They have been able to fight and qualify for certain tournaments, Youth World Cups, as Chao Chong takes that pitch in off the body, so a hit batsman will put it at first and second with one out.
Ooh, just clipped that elbow pad. Elbow guard.
And talking about this with Neil Adonis and with JP Naude from South Africa, they said, you know, it's kind of incumbent on us to try to get these other countries to be playing baseball as well, because then we don't have to wait around for the World Baseball Classic Qualifier. If we can play a friendly series against Uganda or against Zimbabwe or against Ghana, if they get a national team program started up again and up to the level where you can schedule these things. South Africa also has started to establish relationships elsewhere in the Dominican Republic with coaches and with baseball facilities there. They're trying to continue a baseball cultural exchange with some of the European powerhouses, the Netherlands, Germany, and elsewhere. But it is challenging, and Ryan, you are really well suited to speak to it, because it's not just the fact that funding can be difficult to come by and all those sorts of things. There's also just a lot of logistical issues. You're so far away from the other baseball powerhouses in the world. That makes it really challenging to schedule series. But we see whenever we come to these events, these South African teams can play.
Yeah, and you mentioned the geographical part. And again, I keep comparing Australia to South Africa because it's so similar. But just one aspect as well, talking about a teenage in those big developmental years, and the years that can essentially change his trajectory, but 15, 16, 17. I've known some kids to go over and essentially do an exchange program in the United States, play high school baseball. And they come back and they are way ahead. Because like I said, it's just a completely different environment. You've got baseball surrounding you. It's every single day, and just a completely different environment.
I'm telling you, man, the amount of events that I have done at the youth levels where day 1 through 5, South Africa is overwhelmed and they get pulled under and swept into the placement round or the consolation round, and then all of a sudden you see the last few days of these World Cup events, all of a sudden South Africa is taken down. Last time out is a perfect example. The U23 World Cup in August, they beat Great Britain in the placement round, a team that obviously has a national team program that has sent a squad to the World Baseball Classic qualifying in 2022. Another hit batsman here puts Sung aboard to load the bases.
I tell you what, see the game, we talk about speeding up. The heart rate starts to go up a little bit. You can tell, again, we talked about him playing at the JUCO level in Missouri over in the United States, a redshirt freshman, but no better experience to be in this environment. You get right back into college baseball. You're like, oh wow, okay, I think I can slow down my heart rate a little bit easier after that experience.
Second on the wrist of Changray Sung is okay and will head to first base. Post up there, bases loaded with still just one out in the inning. We'll go back to the top of the order and Chao Lin. But the future for baseball in South Africa, we know with talent, is certainly bright. The question is logistics, games, funding, facilities, all that type of stuff. But it almost makes you admire even more the love and the dedication that these guys have for this sport, that their families have for this sport, that coaches and administrators and the people who do the thankless work have for this sport, and continuing to try to grow it in a place where there are challenges, but they're still churning out really, really good talent.
Yeah, and on the players who have full-time jobs, we covered this last night. I referenced this, and it took me about 20 seconds to reference pulls by Dale, who's not playing, unfortunately. Dale Feldman, the catcher. But you're talking full-time jobs, have to take time off work to come play in these events.
Infield fly on for that pop out there, 2 gone.
Using that vacation time, those precious weeks off work. I'll tell you what, look, I know Chinese Taipei is well in control of this game. You can start to see a little bit of that frustration seep out from them. But still only 5-1, 10 hits, yes. But just not in that rhythm offensively, the same rhythm we saw back in November.
So a chance for Zhiwei Lin to add to this 4-run lead. But man, yeah, Ryan, I mean, this is, even though Chinese Taipei is very much in control, like you said, 10 hits, they've got this lead by 4 runs, there definitely is still an air of, well, why isn't it all cylinders firing as of yet in this building? 1-0 fouled away.
Yeah, you pretty much want to come out and just steamroll South Africa, ride that into tomorrow against Nicaragua, which again, going back to the tiebreaker rules, runs against. They gave up 12 yesterday to Spain.
1-1 pitch up and away. Just to break the fourth wall. If people could see the dancing that we've been doing in this booth.
That you've been doing.
During these, I saw you moving a little bit
ago.
A little bit,
yeah.
It's hard, you can't not, you know? So easy to get involved in this atmosphere. 2-1 up and away, 3 balls and a strike now as Josh Tribe hopes to avoid walking in the 6th run of the night for Chinese Taipei. See Neil Adonis telling Josh Tribe, take a deep breath. I think ultimately right here, you just want to put one in the zone, let your guys go to work. And it won't happen there. Bases loaded walk for Zhiwei Lin. It's 6-1 in the 7th.
Yeah. Tribe right now, he's rattled. Let the situation, the atmosphere, the environment take over, take control of what he's trying to do.
Neil Adonis out from that 3rd base dugout. He has not signaled yet for a pitching change.
Yeah, this essentially could be just a straight. No, he's giving it the ball, he's done.
Yeah, that'll do it for Josh Tribe. So Tribe will exit this game after yielding 1. He is tasked with the 3 men aboard as South Africa goes to the bullpen again here in the 7th. The southernmost country on the continent of Africa, South Africa, back in the World Baseball Classic Qualifiers here in 2025. Johannesburg, the largest city. A whole lot of guys on this roster hail from Joburg, as they call it, home of the African elephant, the world's largest and heaviest land mammal. A beautiful, have you been to South Africa?
No.
I never have either. I would love to go to South Africa.
Check out the elephants.
We'll see the Elephants go, hang out on 1,700 miles of coastline. New arm to the game for South Africa here in the 7th inning is Daniel Mendelsohn. Goes to work against Choi-Shin Chen, inheriting the bases loaded, and a rope foul down the right field line. A ball and 2 strikes on Choi-Shin Chen. It is interesting, Ryan. I mean, I know we're only a game and a half in, essentially, but Choi-Shin Chen has not yet given you that feeling in the batter's box like he did during Premier 12.
Right.
Oh, this guy is going to do something lethal every time he steps in. Today he's been on and scored a run. He walked to lead off the 3rd inning. He had an RBI ground out, had a sacrifice bunt as well. So he is technically just 0 for 2, but still searching for his ideal form at the plate as he stays alive there, fouling one away.
Carl, you and I both covered enough of these events where sometimes it just comes down to you have 2, 3, 4 guys who are hot at the same time to get it done in these short, quick tournaments.
2-2, Chen down the left field line. That's going to slice foul.
We see plenty of that approach. We saw it last night. Just the ability to put good swings on the balls in the left field, especially when he's deeper in counts.
In case you're wondering, in the background of that replay, that is a can of beer dancing on top of the first base dugout.
Yeah.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Choi-Shin Chen.
There it is.
It is a party for 9 innings. I mean, even last night,
Right.
when this team was getting waxed late in that game, these fans, they didn't leave, they didn't quiet down. They were as loud as this would suggest late in that game as they fell 12-5 to Spain. South Africa can smell its first win of this World Baseball Classic Qualifier as the count is full on Choi-Shin Chen. Bases loaded. And a drive down the right field line. If that stayed fair, it was going to be a lot of trouble, but it's down into the corner, foul. Three and 2 on Chen. Runners off. And ball 4 will bring in another one. And it's starting to slip away from South Africa in the 7th.
Yeah, another same strike throwing ability we saw from Dylan Unsworth and Erasmus last night. That is for sure. A couple veterans. See Chen right there, though. He was starting to salivate on some of those pitches. He looked kind of frustrated he got that ball fall, walking down the line. I get it. It's like you want to have that big moment. Get that weight off your shoulders as team captain.
And now Yu Chang, first pitch swinging after back-to-back walks, grounds out to 3rd, and that will do it for Chinese Taipei in the 7th. 2 more added on to the lead, and it's a 6-run advantage for Chinese Taipei as we head to the bottom of the 7th inning.
上场的打者是第5棒 batting fifth, the third baseman, number 23, Anthony Phillips.
Fans here in Taiwan having some fun tonight as their team, Chinese Taipei, with a 7-1 lead over South Africa as we move through stretch time and into the bottom of the 7th inning. And the first offering of the bottom of the 7th, the Pittsburgh Pirates prospect Po Yun Chun continues to work. Po Yu coming into this game and immediately getting his first couple of strikeouts in the 5th. First 2 men that he faced. Anthony Phillips leading things off here. Comes one batter after Chun's 3rd strikeout of the day. Nearly had his 4th there. That one snapping back toward the inside corner.
Only got 21 pitches to 2 innings of work.
Chun's 1-2 pitch. Anthony Phillips out of the 5 spot in the order for South Africa, 0 for 2. Ground out to third base, a fly out to right field. South Africa, pretty much just like yesterday, one really stellar offensive inning and trying to start another one. Phillips has his first base hit of the day and first of the week. And he's aboard to start things in the 7th.
Yeah, he gets a pitch middle of the plate. And Anthony Phillips come up in the minor league system with the Seattle Mariners. That was about half a decade ago when he finished up playing his long career as a minor league baseball player.
That'll bring up Brandon Bouillon. Bouillon with a single to left field in the 4th, 1 for 2 today. Also the diving attempt to rein in a ball off the bat of his right field counterpart, Chung Rae Sung. In the top of the 6th inning, got past him on the dive, turned into an inside the park home run. A ball and no strikes on Bouillon. Count even, it's on him. One and 2. Po Yu Chun, just such an easy, fluid delivery as he works from the stretch here and buries that one to make it 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 steps away from the big leagues in the U.S. Po Yu Chun, Double-A last season in the Pirates organization. 2-2, skied to left. Catch made out there by Jae-Shun Chun and rifling a throw back in. And Anthony Phillips, who was not that far away from the bag, in a hustle to get back in. 1 away.
Yeah, Po Yu Chun, he's got 3+ pitches. I mean, we got a chance to see Wei and Lin signed for $1.3 million with the A's. Lefty, who, yeah, we saw him last night, 94-95 from the left side, good movement.
Tyrone Milne lifting one the other way, and Sung is there. 2 gone.
But you mentioned Po Yu Chun, just really polished. Commands 3 pitches. The other thing too for some of these players, yeah, we talk about striking a big league around a former big leaguer, but yeah, any chance you're here and you're stepping up, if you're Josh Wetzel and all of a sudden you see Po Yu Chun in the big leagues in a year, you're like, oh yeah, I faced him. I got to base it off him. Watching him in a Pirates uniform.
In tight on Wetzel there. That is, yeah, another pretty cool element of this World Baseball Classic. We talked about that early on in this game for
Tonight's starting pitcher for South Africa, Damon King. Struck out Yu Chang in the first inning. Struck out So-Wei Lin in the second. Get to go back home if you're Damon King to Joburg and say, it was just, out striking out former big leaguers in Taiwan. Sorry, had to skip out of work for a little bit. And one pitch up high.
His coaching staff can take a breath tonight.
Yeah, just 2 relievers used to this point as a drive down the right field line. That gets down fair, and that's a chance at extra bases. No, Wenzel's going to have to hold at first, but Anthony Phillips goes first to third, and South Africa threatening with 2 gone in the 7th.
Yeah, good piece of hit, and kind of took him by surprise. Had to look up and see where that ball was. Just hugging that foul line. You see, he's got a shot at Anthony Phillips. By the way, Anthony Phillips living in Scottsdale, Arizona these days. Another one of these members who's got a regular day job out here doing big things. He's about to get a visit from pitching coach.
Peng Lin. You can see him point to the scoreboard. I think he's probably just communicating like, hey, we got some breathing room here. You don't have to be too fine. Just get this last out. And we got a pinch hitter into the batter's box out of the 9 spot. It is Chris Bayers, the Secunda South African native. Came on as the pinch hitter in extra innings yesterday. Tried to lay down a sacrifice bunt. Unable to execute that successfully. South Africa falling 2-1 to Nicaragua in walk-off fashion. Nicaragua today beating Spain by the same score and in the same scenario, walking off in the 10th. Bayer swings and comes up empty there.
There's that changeup from Yu Chang. We talked about the 3 pitches he commands so well. You talked about being at the upper level of the minor leagues. And again, if you're the big league organization who's lending these players right now, you're paying attention. Morning time in the United States. Everyone's starting to wake up to the World Baseball Classic played across the other side of the globe. 40,000 people. I'm starting to get text messages from good friends who are starting to tune in as they wake up on the West Coast.
1-2, swing and a miss. Bayers is gone, overpowered by Yu Chang, and that'll do it for South Africa in the 7th. Leaving runners at the corners, they trail this one by 6 in Taipei.
the lone remaining unbeaten in the World Baseball Classic Qualifier here in Taipei. Made it a 2-0 start through 2 days. Benjamin Alegria with a walk-off single to lift his team to a 2-1 win over Spain. Back-to-back 2-1 10-inning walk-off victories for Nicaragua, which is looking to qualify for the World Baseball Classic for the second time. Went through the qualifier in 2022.
Yeah, it was such a fun game in the noon game today, Tyler. But, I mean, if you go back 24 hours ago, Spain, we talked about them being in the driver's seat, knocking off this favorite. Chinese Taipei, we talked a lot about them coming into this, saying they're going to dominate, be that team to be the favorite, who's going to be the second team to qualify. They get knocked off by Spain, and then all of a sudden have to turn around for that early game, run into a Nicaragua with a whole lot of offense, but pitched so well, and the defense was outstanding. Didn't make a mistake. Knocked them off 2-1, and now in the driver's seat.
If this score holds, then Chinese Taipei will go into that game against Nicaragua tomorrow with an opportunity, if they can beat Nicaragua and if Spain beats South Africa, we would have a three-way tie at 2-1 to determine the pool outright winner and the two teams that will participate in the second place game coming up on Tuesday, as Nianting Wu is the first out of the top half of the 8th inning. And it just sort of felt like, and Ryan, we were here 2 years ago and we called that pool of chaos in which 5 teams finished 2-2 and went to the tiebreaker to determine who was moving on to Tokyo in the second round of the 2023 World Baseball Classic, who would be relegated here to the qualifiers. It just kind of felt like after yesterday, with Spain getting that win over Chinese Taipei, we're going to have some surprises in this.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's it. I mean, you can throw all your predictions out the window, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier. With these tournament games, it's not, if you're watching in the US and you're so used to 162, team gets off to a slow start in April, but guess what? By the time they get to June, they're in good rhythm. This is so different. It's all about timing. And a team like Chinese Taipei, watch them dominate in November at the Premier 12, knocking off Japan. They had some special moments in the last World Baseball Classic. Here they are on their heels. Tomorrow's going to be interesting.
Ground ball out to short. Tyler Smith, 2 gone. This is what that pool looked like here in Taiwan 2 years ago.
Look at that. Unreal. I mean, we made some predictions before this too, if you remember. I mean, there were some powerhouses. Netherlands had a potent offense. Xander Bogaerts was on that team. Scope was on that team.
Didi Gregorius.
I mean, they had some names.
Panama, which qualified for the Classic for the first time since 2009.
You had Cuba with Luis Robert, Moncada. Yeah, big leaguers returning, having a chance to play for Cuba for the first time ever. It was a fun pool, but man, everyone finishing 2-2.
And Cuba, of course, you know, I mean, started really behind the 8 ball. They ended up rallying to not only make it through to Tokyo, but reach the semifinals of the World Baseball Classic for the first time since 2006. And I mean, man, that was just so much fun. And for Chinese Taipei, obviously being here in the qualifier, a little bit of a surprise to them. And I think the thing that made people most nervous with this roster was exactly what transpired last night, as a flare to left field got down. Pochuan Wong's got himself a 2-out single. You drop a game, and all of a sudden, you're looking at the very distinct possibility that if you have one more misstep, you don't qualify for the WBC. And this is a national team program that, you know, from the U12 ranks all the way up through to this senior team, they are the #2 ranked program on the world stage in the World Baseball Softball Confederation rankings based on the rankings point system. And I mean, it's unthinkable to imagine a WBC without Chinese Taipei. They have been in every single one. As a hit by pitch here will put Zhao Cheng on. And yet, Chinese Taipei, after last night, they had to take care of business tonight. They are in the process of that right now. But they are far from being out of the woods.
3-hit day for Po-Shun Wong. 2 hit by pitches for Xiaohong Chung behind him. And those two now at second and first, respectively, for the 9-hole hitter, Chung Rae-sung. And the first pitch swing fouls one away.
Yeah, and again, we asked a question yesterday, Tyler, and when we had a chance to talk to the Chinese Taipei coaching staff, you know, we talked about, hey, is this a little bit risky? You kind of have a little bit of that sense where they did want to essentially audition some of these young players to build that new wave, but so much at stake. It's only a 3-game preliminary round here in this qualifier. You have a game like last night, that's your worst nightmare. Not only did you lose, but you lost by 12. Again, that's going to affect you when it comes to some of the tiebreakers.
Because that is what ruined Chinese Taipei's chance at qualifying this time around, was the amount of runs they allowed, especially early on in Pool A last time out. And so, yeah, I mean, that's another thing that looms massively about that game yesterday. You gave up 12 runs. And the teams that you're chasing now have not done anything like that. Spain gave up 5 last night in the win, gave up just 2 today. Nicaragua has only allowed 2 through 20 innings to this point now. So Chinese Taipei very much behind the 8 ball. But the thing about where we sit with the qualifier is you can just win your way in. You win today, you know, potentially if you get the win tomorrow,
yeah,
you might be able to find your way in as the outright pool champion. It's unlikely, obviously, with the runs that Chinese Taipei has given up. But even if you don't win your way in tomorrow, you get that chance on Tuesday, and then it's just head-to-head. Doesn't come down to a tiebreaker then. That one will get the outside corner to make it 3-2. Man, these fans are having a whole lot more fun tonight than this time last night. Their team leads it 7-1, and a ground ball left side. That's going to get into the glove on the backhanded stab by Tyler Smith, whose throw to the plate greets Po-Shun Wong in a surprise and ends the inning. Wong turns and points to short to acknowledge the play, and that will wrap things up in the 8th. Terrific work in the field by South Africa. Bottom of the 8th inning as we move along. Chinese Taipei leading South Africa 7-1. Here are the things to keep in mind as we head to tomorrow. Take notes. We'll have a quiz on it later. These 4 teams coming into this World Baseball Classic Qualifier know that only 2 tickets are available for the main tournament in 2026. Now, in the event that we have 2 or more teams tied, which it appears very possible that we will tomorrow, these are the factors that will play into who moves on just from tomorrow's results as the pool winner to capture 1 ticket to the 2026 Classic, and who will move into the second place game. And ultimately, Ryan, one of the biggest categories as Victor Nkwepe's got a leadoff single here to get things started in the 8th. Biggest category, runs allowed over the amount of outs that you have recorded in the field.
Again, that's what puts Chinese Taipei on the back foot, thanks to the first night here in the Taipei Dome against Spain.
Defensive changes out in the field as a bouncing ball right side scoots through back-to-back singles. That is the first time today that South Africa has put back-to-back hits together. Tyler Smith's got a knock, and it's first and second now as this South Africa team continues to battle here in the 8th.
And it's a velocity that can handle 85s, 86s. Right now from that man, Liu. Middle of the plate, jumping all over that fastball.
Got a new third baseman into the game. Tungshen Lee takes over in place of Yenting Wu. The other thing that a finish like this does, Ryan, for South Africa, they have the quick turnaround. They've got to go after Spain tomorrow at noon. But man, you put up 7 hits on a really good pitching staff, and you've only been able to cash in 1 run, yes, but gives you a little bit of confidence going toward a matchup tomorrow that, in theory, South Africa pulls off the upset tomorrow. All of a sudden, you're in a spot where tiebreakers come into play against Spain because both teams would be 1 and 2. Just what makes this World Baseball Classic format so different, so unique, and so much its own brand of excitement. I believe we gave you the updated arm into the game for Chinese Taipei. It is Yenting Liu as Chong took that one, well, not where you want to take it. Here is the new third baseman into the game, Tungshen Lee. No balls and 2 strikes on Brandon Smith, the owner of the 1 RBI today for South Africa. And a ground ball over to that new third baseman, Lee, who's only got 1 play in second and third with 2 gone.
Yeah, I remember 2013 going into the last day. We hadn't had a win yet at the World Baseball Classic. It was actually in Taichung. And mathematically, I mean, you have to be a math wizard to figure it out. But we weren't eliminated just yet. Well, you know, playing Andrew Jones in the Netherlands, I remember. And then in the 3rd inning, someone came down to the bullpen and kind of explained it to us. We had to win by a certain amount. And I was like, oh, man. We essentially had to win that game by like 9 runs or so, whatever it was, to have a chance to go through. But yeah, nothing doing, man. That was tough. Talk about that tournament style way of playing. And you go back to the early days of the World Baseball Classic, 2006, 2009, and you'd watch teams like the US, right? They get built by these superstars, but just not in that tournament mode where you'd play against Japan that was so used to, so equipped to playing that short, quick tournament-style baseball. Chinese Taipei, another team, having success. Korea.
Out in front of the plate, a slow roller is the final out of the 8th inning. We head to the 9th. Chinese Taipei on cruise control with a 7-1 lead over South Africa. moving into the top of the 9th inning. Chinese Taipei with a 7-1 lead over South Africa, and a new right-handed reliever into the game for South Africa. The righty Boyd Stevens takes over, the Cape Town product. On the pitcher's mound, he'll go to work against the top third of the order for Chinese Taipei, potentially the last bats of the night for these guys. Chao Wei-lin back in that leadoff spot to get things going here in the 9th. You can see that little scrape on Chao Wei-lin's chin. He took a ball off of the chin in yesterday's game, diving in the outfield. Ball came down, bounced off the turf in front of him, hit him in the chin.
It looked like he could have lost a tooth.
Yeah, no worse for the wear as he skies this one out to left. And 1 away. So, that'll bring up Zhu Wei-lin. Ryan, it might not have been the complete outburst that we expected offensively, but it's still a heck of a good night offensively. 7 runs on 12 hits for Chinese Taipei. And I think more than anything, you touched on this last inning, you didn't overextend your pitching staff in any way. 3 relievers come on. Po Yu Chen, really good work. This might have been the only time that we were going to see him in this qualifier at all. Chen throwing 3 innings for Chinese Taipei, the Pirates prospect. I mean, he still only ends up at 37 pitches, but ultimately 3 relievers compared to the 8 that this team used yesterday. High fly ball down the right field line, hooking. That'll get out of play.
Yeah, I mean, you had 9 guys through last night. Now 2 of them are going to have to sit tomorrow, or if you count in Po Yu Chen, because there's no way he's going to go back-to-back being a Pirates prospect. But yeah, the other 2, one of them is the saves, all-time saves leader, or about to be in the CPBL. Yen-Ching Liu. And the other was Dongbing Li, and then pretty much everyone else. And you think about it too, I mean, we had an injury early on in this game. Su Chen Cha had that cramping going on. Did a pretty good job. They're pretty fresh for Nicaragua tomorrow, which is a huge game.
Walk here for Zhu Wei-lin. This is his 4th walk of the day, and he was hit by a pitch.
I can read that lineup board, by the way, Tyler, if you want to know what that says. I got my Google Translate up as we go run through the pitches available.
I told you the other day, actually this was earlier today, we were having a conversation about baseball video games. I told you that I purchased.
Oh my God, you're a mega nerd for that.
This is the most Tyler Mon thing that I think I've said on this broadcast.
Yeah, and by the way, you notice I called you a nerd on air, not when we were actually talking about it. I said, oh, that's awesome. Back when we were chatting.
Yeah,
now
that's
that we're on air and everyone's listening.
Yeah,
Sorry,
you were.
Tell the story then.
I was actually kind of surprised that you didn't drag me for it when we were talking off the air, but I'm glad to know your true feelings now. But I bought essentially the Japanese version of MLB The Show, which is called Professional Baseball Spirits.
Nice.
And it is the latest edition, 2024-25. You get to play, you could be any NPB team. But the reason I brought that up is because you said you got your phone, you got Google Translate. The problem with that game is all of the menus are in Japanese. So I have to use Google Translate to navigate my way to, the next game in my franchise mode with the Hiroshima Toyo Carp. Our home of Mazda Zoom Zoom Stadium.
I can just picture you.
Yeah.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely.
In the basement with Google Translate out, trying to play a little video game.
That is
like a 12-year-old.
The exact scenario in my life, actually. Told you my wife works mostly East Coast hours. I live in the Mountain Time Zone. She goes to bed early. I'm like, well, might as well play. I got a big day game against the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars today. I guess I should break this thing out.
Mind you, it did come off. You told me that story because I told you I found my PS3.
There's a drive to left field. Moving back on this one is Wenzel. Looking up, it's gone! Zhongshan Lee leaves the yard, a pinch hit appearance. And a 2-run homer adds to the advantage here in the 9th.
It's 9-1.
Well, Tyler, up until this point, they're up 7-1, but you still felt like they hadn't gotten in rhythm. I tell you what, the 9th inning here in front of this home crowd who are all on their feet, chanting in unison. This is that exclamation point, which is going to put him in that good spot tomorrow against Nicaragua.
And I take it back, not a pinch hit appearance. He entered the game last half inning as the new third baseman, and now Yu Chang drives one that direction, but played perfectly by Joshua Wenzel, who was able to haul it in. And actually, that's not Wenzel in left either. A defensive replacement for South Africa. These teams kind of emptying the benches at this stage. That is Bayers, who came into the game as a pinch hitter. But man, that thing screamed off the bat for the 30-year-old utility man Lee. And it turns a 7-1 game into a 9-1 game here in the 9th. So for South Africa, probably not going to find your way into the win column tonight, but some stuff to build on for tomorrow's noon showdown with Spain. And for Chinese Taipei, you are getting right at the right time. As the ball charged out to center, is going to get over the head of Wenzel out there around second base and holding with a double. Chinese Taipei continues to add on Yenting Wu with a knock.
Well, Tyler, I don't know if they can hear it watching at home through the TV, but I can feel it through my feet. This building is shaking right now. And again, just finishing on this exclamation point, piling it on here in the 9th inning. This is how you get in that good rhythm. Take this energy into tomorrow.
Get a visit to the mound here from Darren Smith, the pitching coach for South Africa. Some tweaks to each of these lineups. As Wenzel now in center field for South Africa. Perelsa out of this game after being pinch hit for in his last due-up plate appearance. The wave begins in the Taipei Dome. Man, the wave looks so much cooler when you have a sellout crowd performing it like this. And again, this is an 8-run game in the 9th inning, and see how many empty seats you spot in the Taipei Dome. Not a lot.
We talked about this in the Open last night. They called it a disaster here against Spain, so these fans got something to cheer about tonight.
First pitch swinging bouncer over to first. Wen-Jie Chen is retired, and that will do it here in the 9th. But Chinese Taipei adds 2 more, and as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, it has been all the host squad tonight, a 9-1 lead. Well, here is what this is all for, the 2026 World Baseball Classic. We are coming up on just a year out from WBC 2026. 4 pools of 5 teams each, 4 teams in each of those groups already announced their destinations as well. San Juan, Puerto Rico, Houston, Texas, Tokyo, and Miami, Florida. A qualifying team from here in Taipei and from Tucson coming up next week will be placed into each of those pools.
There is no easy route to those quarterfinals. I mean, look at every single one of those pools. Obviously, Pool C, you got Japan, who won it last year.
Czech Republic is headed back to Tokyo, now known as Czechia, as the official designation across the international sports landscape.
You got Pool D with Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Pool A, Pool B, United States. Man, I mean, there's no, oh, hey, I hope we get, if you're a qualifying team, yeah, hope we get a chance to go play in that one. I mean, there's no easy route.
Yeah, there are powerhouses in every one of those 5-team groups here in 2026. Houston will join the WBC landscape for the first time.
Yeah, we talked about this too in the 2023 as we kicked off. You know, I did pool play right here in Taiwan. We talked about 2017, the catch from Adam Jones. When you watch, Adam Jones being a huge part of like recruiting some of these other, teammates to make sure that the best players from the United States participate in that time of year and everything else. But then 2023, man, I mean, that just took it to another level. Some of those games, some of those huge moments, all across the world too. I mean, Japan, Taiwan, obviously Hugh Chang with some of those big moments. The fact that we had the pool of chaos, everyone finishing 2-2, the way it ended, Trout versus Ohtani, unreal.
1-2 swung on and missed. A pinch hitter, Josh November, goes down on strikes, 1 away. It really is, and the first few editions of the World Baseball Classic treated us to incredible baseball. Japan winning in 2006 and 2009. Daisuke Matsuzaka winning the MVP each of those. 2013, the unbelievable unbeaten 8-0 run for the Dominican Republic. The way that it reinvigorated baseball in Puerto Rico, the blonde hair and all of the excitement and the talent on that team. 2017, the U.S. winning the Adam Jones catch and all of that. But 2023 did feel like, oh, this is a legitimately established event on not just the baseball calendar, but on the sports calendar. And we are in this amazing era right now where international sports are having such a moment. And to be able to see baseball being played like this on a February night in Taiwan, where 40,000 people are turning out night after night to watch their team in this qualifier, as following Josh November, his brother Luke, into the batter's box. A couple of pinch hitters here in the 9th. I mean, I have loved the WBC since it was announced back in the mid-2000s. I went to every one as a fan until 2023, when I was lucky enough to work one for the first time. But it is so cool to see everybody else catching on and just how great this event is. You got a chance to be part of it as a player, and wearing that uniform, representing your country, there's no other feeling like that. And for all of these guys now, they get to experience that in this qualifying sense as well. Josh November back up the middle into center field. Oh man, a pick on the backhand is gonna rob him. Wow, never mind. Luke November retired on a fantastic play by Tzu-Wei Lin. 2 gone.
Yeah, Tzu-Wei Lin, known for his defense. That's what got him to the big leagues in the United States. It's a great play, back up the middle. Not to mention the fact you got a huge lead and then taking nothing for granted. Again, finishing this game, that big exclamation point in front of your home fans. But yeah, the conversation's already started back to the World Baseball Classic, Tyler. Around spring training players who they've been asked, hey, will you participate? Would you like to participate? And just more and more, every single time that World Baseball Classic rolls around, the biggest names on the planet, they all put their hand up. They all want to do it, be a part of it.
Flip out to short, and some weird spin onto that as Joshua Wenzel's spot in the lineup. Turn to the pinch hitter Brandon Edmonds, and yeah, that'll go as a base hit for Edmonds.
Yeah, that spin, look at that.
That's pretty cool. Chinese Taipei just hustled that ball over to first base coach Jody Birch. He put it in his back pocket as he's going to hang on to it. That's a memory for a lifetime for Brandon Edmonds, the Joburg native who's got his first hit in the WBC.
Nickname Eddie. Got a chance to talk to him a couple days ago. He was cracking jokes down in that South African locker room. He's kind of that character inside the locker room, you know, with the South African team.
Swinging a tapper over to third. That'll go foul. Yeah, Ryan, and the fact that so many people around the baseball world have grown to love the WBC in recent years. You had a good point the other day. We were talking about the timing of this event this year. You said, you know, those morning games, those are going to be on in Grapefruit League clubhouses. These are games that players and teams are going to be interested in. You know, we're in spring training, but this is real baseball. These are real prospects and guys who have, you know, high hopes, whether it's with MLB organizations or with their own teams. A diving pick over at third. What a play by Tsung-Shen Lee, who gets limited time on the field and in the lineup today and makes it count. Belts a two-run homer in the ninth and stars in the field to end this thing in the bottom half. And Chinese Taipei into the winner's circle for the first time on home soil in this year's qualifier.
Yeah, and this is more like it too. This is kind of what we expected going into last night against Spain. They're finally starting to kick into gear, and I will say this, it took them a little bit to get going in these early couple innings. Facing this South African pitching, which was lacking that depth and that plus stuff. But it's the way you finish, is what kind of momentum you take into tomorrow. A huge game against Nicaragua, who's already 2-0. But Lee coming in to pinch hit and a chance to play some really good defense, put that exclamation point late in this game, winning this one 9-1.
The type of win that Chinese Taipei really needed as the offense revs up and puts together a 7 spot before the ninth. They get the two-run homer in the ninth inning to extend this lead, and Chinese Taipei now cruises into tomorrow's matchup with Nicaragua with a little bit of momentum, which they did not have last night after that 12-5 loss to Spain. Back inside our booth at the Taipei Dome alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Maun. Ryan, we are essentially now just a couple of outcomes away from another, I guess, qualifier of chaos. As Chinese Taipei's got to win. They're 1-1. Spain is now 1-1. Tomorrow, Chinese Taipei, Nicaragua, the only remaining unbeaten at 2-0. Spain will take on South Africa. Nothing has been decided as we head into the final day of doubleheader.